Hey guys, Sly here, and before we get into this, I just want to let you guys know that this not only is this a re-upload of a stream that I did back in 2021, but this is also a Christmas special that I did with my friend and as well as my cousin. So that's pretty cool. I know I'm uploading this out of season, but I just wanted to make sure I get these out of the way, considering that, well, to be frank, I've been re-uploading a bunch of my videos. So just to keep that in mind. Also, do keep in mind that this is a bit more of a negative video on my part because I'm just going to be frank, I'm not someone who typically celebrates Christmas anymore, as I'm not a Christian myself. So I hope you guys do at least respect that. Also keep in mind that these are ranking, Christmas specials such as the ones made by Rankin Bass, as well as any sort of Christmas movies, or even special Christmas episodes that were released on, Disney Channel, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, all that fun stuff. And again, do keep in mind that this is my personal opinion, as well as the personal opinions of my friend and my cousin. And so I hope you guys do keep that in mind, and just take that in with a grain of salt. Either way, I hope you guys do enjoy. Happy holidays, everyone, and welcome back to yet another tier list. And I am here with the boy, Izzy. So,
hi, everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I do apologize for the fact that I have not really streamed all that much for the past, I'd say, 5-ish days, if I'm not mistaken. It's actually funny because I was doing a bunch of research for this tier list during that time, and oh my god, it almost ruined me. But thankfully, I made through it, and I'm actually really excited about this one because there's no other better time to do this tier list than Christmas. So obviously Today is Christmas, so happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all that fun stuff if you guys celebrate it, because obviously not everyone in the audience does celebrate it, but for those who do, here you go. But as you can see, in celebration of the holidays, we are in fact doing a holiday specials tier list. So I'm not gonna lie, I actually kind of wanted to do this after we already did Disney Channel, but we didn't have enough time for that because of just scheduling all that stuff, so we're gonna have to do it now. But that's fine, because at the end of the day, it is what it is, at least we're doing it now instead of never, and that's what is happy. So,
and hey, like you said, this is the perfect time because tis indeed the season.
Yeah, and yeah, it's just awesome to just be able to do one of these again with the boy. So I definitely do thank you for joining in again after the past several ones have been.
Yeah, but no problem. I'm really excited for this one too. We've got a lot of very interesting specials picked out for this list. Some of them great, others not so great.
So, oh my god. But we also have another guest that's coming hopefully real soon. He's just being a bit busy, but that also does mark the first time we've had new guests since the Cartoon Network tier list with Dylan. So,
hey,
there's always the first time for everything. So,
yep.
But
breaking new ground.
And I don't know, it's just kind of interesting. Whatever, people join in. It's actually kind of funny because I've talked about them before. I just haven't had them on video before. So, and they're actually really excited to do this tier list anyways. So, they're just running a little bit late because they had to do some errands. But that's besides the point, because obviously we are doing a holiday tier list. So, now, obviously, you guys know the rules by now. Typically, what we do is we either go through a thing either in order of release, or we just kind of randomly choose. This one, I kind of want to do a hybrid because the thing about the animated holiday specials is that it's a bit dicey on whether or not you know about some of these, because a lot of these different specials are regional. So, and I gotta give a little bit of context for those who are confused and ooh, what's this Christmas Carol from 1971? Or, ooh, what's this, whole thing about this one studio called Rankin Bass and all that stuff. So let me explain.
Right.
So, I grew up in North America, and North American audiences were exposed to this one particular studio that made a bunch of Christmas specials that were clay slash stop motion animations known as Rankin Bass. They were basically the Christmas Hanna-Barbera back in the 60s and 70s, and they were in charge of a lot of the culturally significant shows, or I guess just like TV specials at that time. So if you guys have seen Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, etc., that's made by that studio, and that was actually the inspiration for this particular episode. However, I kind of wanted to add a bit more because there's only just so many that we can even talk about. Hell, there's some that like exist that I wasn't even able to find because they're just so goddamn hard to find. They're not even on the website that I shall not name for copyright reasons. But yeah, no. So they're a studio that pretty much did a bunch of these, but not enough to really warrant it. And also, I just had to add a bunch of these because it's like I know there's gonna be one person out there who's gonna be like, oh, why didn't you talk about Arthur Christmas? Oh, why didn't you talk about Klaus? Oh, why didn't you talk about the Grinch from 2018? Like, I know there was gonna be one of you guys who was gonna say that. So I had to add in all of the other specials that were made after the 1970s. And I also added in a bunch of TV specials from Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, and a couple from Disney Channel. Because I know, because some people do really like a lot of those sort of specials. And
yeah, we got the whole squad here.
Yeah. We got our posse from that we talked about before with Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. So we actually have Izzy to talk about those for a little bit because he wasn't able to do those tier lists. So breaking new ground for you.
Woo!
Just to steal a quote from a pretty inspirational man, shall I say. And yes, today marks the first tier list where I will in fact be using a soundboard. So, breaking new ground again.
Now we can finally call ourselves professional podcasters.
You're welcome.
So, in lieu of that though, I have to make one big confession to every single person here. Because yes, we might be including Rankin Bass. Yes, we might be including a bunch of other random, like, you know, either movies or Christmas specials. And we might even be adding a couple of episodes, or a ton of episodes from classic cartoon shows from the 90s and the 2000s on here. And I guess a couple from the 2010s. But I have to make a confession. I don't celebrate Christmas. Now,
how dare?
Okay, hear me out. I have made it pretty abundantly clear that I am not religious. I just don't really like the association that over the past century, like the past several centuries, it's become way more involved with Christianity over the years. And just a lot of the whole idea of, like, you know, oh, it's Jesus' birthday, even though that's technically not true, but I'm not getting into that. And also just, and even whenever it's associated with like the winter solstice in Saturnalia and like a bunch of like pagan Roman traditions, once again, I don't believe in that stuff, like, regardless. So for me, I've just been drifting away from that over the past actually 3 to 4 years now, which is kind of insane to think about. That being said, I think I might have a bit of a bias, but guess what? We're going to show it in the tier list because, as you can see, we are not ranking this in a normal fashion because we're not doing the typical S, A, B, C, D, and F. We're setting a bar, and the bar is already so low because if I have to be really honest, most of these are not good, which actually we'll get into that a little bit later. I think a lot of these just kind of survive off of nostalgia at the end of the day. Like, even, like, you know, putting away my personal bias against like Christmas and all that stuff, it's just a lot of it just in terms of story and like animation quality and all that stuff, it just feels cheap, if that makes sense. And I don't know. It's just a lot of it just does kind of feel like a lot of it has been survived because, oh, it's a traditional thing. Kind of like Christmas songs, but like, I don't know. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
But I guess just sort of my point is that like the bar is already so low, so we can only go down, which is why we have 5 tiers. We have passable, which are pretty much movies that I can still watch and I think are just fine in general. Meh, which is just average. Below average, which is self-explanatory. And then we've got a little bit of a friend to talk about the lower tiers. So I was able to bring up another friend of mine. His name is Anthony Fantano, and he's every time that we put a movie in the not good or absolute garbage, he's gonna tell us our commentary. Hey Fantano, what's your opinion on some of these movies?
Not good.
Yeah, not good. So
Not good.
yeah, so we're gonna have the meme master himself come in on occasion. So God, that was a huge long thing, and we still got all the rules to go through. So, but yeah, no, that's it.
While you go through all the rules, I'm going to very quickly step away for a restroom break because I can hear my bladder a calling.
Oh,
So I will be right back.
Hold up.
okay. Yeah, anyways, so let's go over the rules because I didn't go through that. So there's actually, I'd say this is probably the one that has the most rules. I wrote a couple of them above, but I wasn't able to finish them. So rule number 1, going back to what I was saying about the Christmas episodes, we decided that because some of these had multiple episodes, such as Adventure Time and regular show, we basically chose only one episode per show that isn't a Christmas series. And so that's pretty much that. Rule number 2, no rated R content. It's for the kids. And we kind of have to make it to where, you know, we have to show our good side. Like, and also, I hate to be that one guy, but I just don't like adult animation anyways. So, no, freaking Adam Sandler, whatever that movie was called. I know that was technically a Hanukkah movie, which that goes into my 3rd rule. Yes, even though it does say holiday specials, I kind of wanted to focus this more on Christmas in particular. There is one exception to the rule, but that's only because it's kind of half a New Year's, half a Christmas special anyways. But no Christmas, no Hanukkah, no Kwanzaa, and no New Year specials because they're just so rare to find anyways, and I just feel like it would just be a bit off. Like they would be the odd ones out. So there's that. Also, no Rhapsody Street Kids. I swear to God, Izzy, no. We all know that one's bad.
Yeah, I kept trying to convince Dave to let us talk about Rhapsody Street Kids.
No, we're not talking about it. Everyone knows that one's bad. It's unnecessary. So
That's a crime.
it's not a crime. It's just fact. I beat you with facts and logic with that one. So no. And then, what was another rule? Oh yeah. I guess just at the end of the day, it's just our opinion. Like, if you like these specials, that's completely fine. Like, go ahead. If you love Rudolph Red-Nosed Reindeer, have at it. I don't care, because you're your own person, and I can't change your mind. I just kind of want to be able to share my opinion, though, as well as Izzy's, as well as our special guest, which has not... They haven't arrived yet, which is a bit concerning, because they said they would be here by now. But that's besides the point. Actually, I'm going to be right back. So if you want to entertain the folks,
Alrighty.
You don't mind? Just don't do some stupid stuff. Also, oh yeah, one more rule. This is the golden rule. I said this is for the kids earlier. I don't know if you heard that, Izzy. So,
Oh no, but I know that now.
this is a rated T for teen stream. If you say your F, S, and all the other bombs, you'll be put on the naughty list, and you will have to see Krampus's not good parts.
Okay, but do I still get one F-bomb?
No,
Oh.
you have to be a nice boy.
Okay, I'll be a good boy.
Okay. I will be checking, and if you say the bombs once I rewatch this, because I do rewatch these, you'll have to see Krampus at least for a year.
Oh man,
You don't want to do that.
No. Oh no, am I going to get locked in a room with a big furry demon? Oh, I'm so scared.
Okay, I'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our first new guest ever since Dylan joined his thing.
Oh,
Do you want to introduce yourself, or?
I can say what's up. Hey, I'm Brody.
Hello.
I'm the cousin.
hi Brody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is my cousin Brody. I actually did talk about you a little bit before, but yeah, he's pretty chill. He actually was interested in this, which is a bit surprising to me.
Yeah, I grew up with a lot of these animations. I recognize a few of them. I see.
Yeah, there's some ones that are just, oh my god. But oh yeah, by the way, this is my friend Izzy, Brody, Izzy. You've never met before.
Hello.
Hey,
Meet you.
this is solidified on stream. But yeah, don't be too worried. It's a family friendly rated T for teen stream, right, Izzy?
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, this is a family friendly, kid friendly stream. So I'll be on my best behavior for this one.
Don't let Krampus get to you. Okay. All right. So I'm assuming you don't know the rules.
I mean, I've seen tier lists before.
Okay, we basically try to avoid a bunch of like adult ones because like it's for the
Friendly.
kids.
Yeah. For the children.
Any non-Christmas, like any like TV show that is like non-Christmas related, we only decided to do one episode per thing.
Yeah.
Focus is specifically on Christmas, so no Kwanzaa, no Hanukkah, no New Year's, except for one exception, but that's only because it's a hybrid movie.
Yeah.
No Rhapsody Street Kids, if you know that one.
I don't.
That's a good thing. Also, just have fun and let's go through this. So, we all ready for this, or?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
All right. So I already
I'm
said
so ready.
We are actually going to be doing this differently. We're going to be doing this as in order for the first part, and then pretty much from there on we can choose whatever ones we want to talk about. Because I wanted to do I just wanted to get the rank and fast ones out of the way since we all know about them.
Yeah.
And once again, if you're not from America or even like parts of Canada, they were pretty big back in the 60s and 70s. Go look it up. I'm not talking about it anymore. So, the first movie we've got right here is Rudolph. We all know this one, right?
Yeah.
So, Rudolph, there's no reindeer, had a very shiny nose.
Had a very shiny nose.
So, oh, by the way, if you want to get your phone out, you can make a tier list or whatever, and then I can share it. So,
Okay. I don't really know how to do any of that stuff.
yeah,
I'll
I
stick
can.
with yours.
Yeah, I'll just share you the thing.
So we're all making like our own.
Yeah, we're making our own. He has his own. So,
Okay.
but anyways,
Indeed.
Rudolph. So, who wants to talk about this one first? I'm assuming Izzy.
Yeah, I can go first. So this movie, I don't have quite the same nostalgic connection with it as some other people do, but I still think it's all right. I think it gave us probably one of the best memes of 2016, which was "Why aren't you at elf practice?"
Oh, I forgot about that.
I got to give it some props for that. Santa's a big old jerk face in this movie. Like nobody ever really wants to talk about that. Like he basically yelled at this kid or at who was it, Dasher, I think, for like his kid having a birth defect that he couldn't control, and like he's like, oh well, now that I could use this to my advantage, now you can be on my team. So yeah, frick Santa, just in this one specific case. But like overall, it's for what it is. It's serviceable. There's nothing really kind of special about it, so I would put it in the meh tier personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I agree. I mean, Santa being a jerk. I did notice that he was very. He switched up pretty quick once he needed Rudolph. You know, so but I mean it's classic. I grew up with it. I mean I've seen it every year since for as long as I can remember. So I'd put it in the meh.
yeah. I'm gonna put this one also in the meh, because mine's a little bit different from you guys. Because like, yes, we can make fun of Santa being a massive bag of you know what's, and just a bunch of just this stuff, and also just in comparison to some of the other ones we're about to talk about, just the rougher animation.
Yeah.
But like, we also need to address some of the sexism in this. That like the whole like, for example, Donner, who is the son or the dad of Rudolph, he's like,
Donner,
no, this is
that's
a
who it was,
men's
that's
work.
true.
Like he literally says that in the film. Like I swear to God.
What year did it come out?
Yeah, and like
So
I get that like this movie came out in the 70s, so it was
60s.
kind of a product of its or 60s, so it was kind of a product of its time, but still like just not definitely could have aged a bit better.
yeah, and also just, I mean, I guess just the main reason why I am putting this at a meh though is that the songs are fine. I mean, everyone knows Jingle Jingle, the Misfit Toys song, and all that fun stuff. And this was their first like major film. Like I know they worked on other stuff from like in the early '60s, but like for their first one, fine, I'll give it a pass. But like if you haven't seen this movie since the age of like tiny or small, you're probably not going to enjoy this. But that's why I put this at the meh. So it survived out of tradition.
Yeah.
So, but that's all I got to say about it. Let's talk about the next one. Little Drummer Boy.
Little drummer.
So I've only seen this movie like a few times. I remember the basic premises and whatnot. Obviously, it's about the mythical story of the little drummer boy. And like I remember liking it well enough when I was a kid. I honestly really haven't watched it very much since then. I remember some of the animal sidekicks being kind of annoying. But I mean, overall, I honestly would probably put this one in the meh tier as well, just because, like I said, it's been a fat minute since I've seen it, and what little I do remember, it didn't really stand out to me very much. So this one is also going in the meh tier for me.
I don't think I've ever even seen this movie. I recognize it, like I recognize that picture that you're using, and I recognize that character. But I don't think I've actually sat down and watched this movie entirely through.
All right, so I'm gonna. This is probably my bias showing, but like, take it away, Fantano.
Not good.
Yeah. You probably weren't. Yeah, you weren't here whenever I did my spiel. Like, I'm not the most religious person, and this is a story involving a more religious part.
Yeah,
basically him watching
like a
over Jesus and just
story.
I can't stand that. But even besides that, yes, no, the animal characters were really annoying, and also just the fact that like one of his friends freaking died because of a freaking Roman guy just running over and not caring.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's stupid, and
Should we turn that light on?
Shoot, I don't remember that.
yeah, no, like near like halfway through the film, like after like right before they were heading over to like the nativity scene, just some random Roman soldier ran over this one guy just because he was being a like yeah.
Oh my god.
And it's just all the things that I just really do not like. It's more of just my personal bias. Maybe it's better than that, but like that's just me personally. So if you like this one, I can't blame you, but just trust me, me and Izzy have argued about this stuff when it came to the metalcore tier list, and I just
Oh yeah.
yeah. So but it's actually kind of funny when you actually see it, but that's besides the point. But I can't show it because I'm yeah. But anyways,
We don't
moving
want
on.
to get stricken.
All right, so I didn't do the cricket and the hearth because I couldn't find that one. Also, I heard that one was like awful and sexist too. But we are going to be skipping to the original Frosty the Snowman from 1969. This is the animated one. So, you want to go first, or who wants to go first?
I have no preference.
I'll go
Let's let Day go first. This time.
I'm gonna put this one at a. Okay, upper below average, lower meh. I think just obviously, we all know Frosty the Snowman, all that stuff. I think what holds this up is the magician villain, because he's actually kind of funny.
Is this where the song originated?
Well, not the song itself. I mean, this is based off the song, but just that's what a lot of these were from, anyways. But I just think I forgot who voices him. It's not Paul Frees, though he does voice like half of the characters from all these old films, which is funny. But I don't know, just I think they made him funny in the wrong ways, which I find hilarious even more. But just I don't remember any of the kids, and just a lot of it just felt like it was just kind of scene by scene, but not in a natural way. And it's just, though it is kind of, whoa, that he melts at the end, which is kind of funny. But
yeah, dude, the villain absolutely carries this movie, dude. He's so hilariously mustache twirling, and I love it. And
he has one too, which is great. He's like the stereotypical one too.
And I do think it's kind of funny that they actually they end up melting Frosty at the end, and in front of all of the kids, and all of these poor children are just traumatized.
Well,
and then it's
one kid, but still.
Well, yeah, it was one kid, but still, imagine being a kid and hearing Frosty the Snowman, and then watching the movie, and then at the end, Frosty just friggin' dies. They bring him back within a couple of minutes, but oh my gosh. But no, yeah, outside of the performance of the villain. Okay, you know what? Honestly, I would put this probably in passable just for the villain, honestly. Because, like I said, he absolutely carries that movie. It makes it so much more enjoyable to watch for me. If not for that, I'd probably put it in meh, or maybe even below average, but I love him so much.
All right.
Okay, so honestly, this year, I skipped out on a lot of the Christmas movies because it was 1670 for the most of December.
Oh my god.
But from what I do remember in this one, isn't Frosty a dope? He's dumb.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He can't count to 4.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. I'd put it in meh or below average just because, as far as it goes with the other classics that I haven't seen in a long time, I don't remember this one as much. This one's more forgettable than, Rudolph or some of the other classics I see. But from what I remember watching it, nothing stood out to me as particularly bad after finishing it. But then again, it's been about 2 years since I've seen it.
I'll just say this, but the animation is also just kind of rough. Granted, I know this isn't Hanna-Barbera because they were dominating in the 60s, but could have done better.
Yeah.
But whatever. It is what it is. All right, let's move on. Okay, so this is the first one that I would put on passable. Santa Claus is Coming to Town. This is the one with Santa's origin, or the original one with Santa's origin.
Oh, yeah, yep. I remember.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this one on passable because, quite frankly, I think generally speaking, the lore building for Santa, I think, pretty much works. The songs actually are catchy, "Put one foot in front of the other," and then the other one, oh my god, I know people made fun of this one because oh, he's just being weird, but I didn't see that.
Yeah.
He's oh my god, what was it? Oh yeah. Christmas toy is a price to pay if you basically I think this one, while not, I don't think this is the best musical one. I think the songs hold up. I think just like I said, the story holds up. The fact that oh yeah, the Burgermeister Meisterburger, hands down the best villain that these guys have made. Like, he's so great. Well, okay, one of the best. He's pretty great. And I don't know. It's just, I think just, if you want, like, a Santa story, I'd say this one is definitely one of the better ones. So, even for, like, something that's over 50 years old, which is just insane. Like, this is over 50 years old.
It's crazy.
Like, oh my god.
It's crazy.
But yeah, no.
Kind of old though.
Just getting older.
I hate that. All right, what's your guys' opinion on this?
I actually agree with Dave. I would definitely put this in the passable tier. I just, again, because the songs are really good. There's some of them that still have stuck with me to this day. They're so catchy, and they're just really fun to listen to, which is kind of a rarity for a lot of movies like these. And I think it provides a really kind of interesting spin on the character and the myth of Santa Claus. It was kind of offered a fresh perspective, and I respect it for that. So yeah, this one goes in passable.
Yeah. Once again, I haven't seen it in a long time. I do have a soft spot for stop motion animation like that, especially when it comes to the holiday movies, because, this Rudolph, I don't know what it's called, but it's the one with the song that's like, I'm Mr. Dun,
That's the
dun,
next
dun.
one. That's the next one.
I really like that. I'll put that one in passable too, because that one holds a spot with me, like a very special spot. And I associate most Christmas stop motions with that movie too.
Yeah,
just the way I
But
am.
what about the first one?
The Santa one?
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Like I said, I haven't seen it in a long
Okay.
time. Like, I'd say, for me personally, it's pretty forgettable because I remember the origins and stuff, and I remember all that, but, like, I don't remember any of the songs. I don't remember much of the plot points or anything.
Okay.
Been about 3 years, and my memory is not that good to begin with.
Okay.
So, that's not saying anything on the movie, more so to me.
Okay, well, if you don't remember it, if you want to make that tier, you can put, like, a not seen category or just don't remember.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'll do that.
But, all right, now let's talk about.
Okay.
Your
This one I
bouncing.
do like.
Yeah. This one's passable, but you can go first.
Okay, well, this one's just a classic for me. I'll always remember the scenes where it's Jack Frost versus who is the red guy? He's like
Heat Miser.
Snow Miser and Heat Miser, yeah.
I'll always remember their song between them and like the visuals with both of their basses and stuff. Like that's just when I think of Christmas and when I think like, oh, I need to get in the Christmas spirit. That is the movie that comes to my mind just because it has been just ingrained in my head as it's Christmas. This movie's playing, So that's my opinion on it. Don't have much to say about the movie because, like I said,
Oh my god.
I don't watch. It's like I try to watch Christmas movies. I do, but then I look outside and it's nice and sunny and all the leaves are still on the tree, and I just feel like an idiot because I'm like, it's spring, like. So, I just couldn't. I couldn't get myself to commit to the Christmas movie marathon I usually do. Try to do.
To be fair, it was way too hot this freaking winter. Oh my
No,
god.
it was.
Stupid. But anyways.
It really was.
Yeah.
But anyways, Izzy, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next. So I also think that this movie should be passable. The Snow Miser and Heat Miser. I really like the songs and the chemistry between them. In fact, I really like the design for Snow Miser specifically. I like his chin. He has a very long, pointy chin, and I think it's funny. But no, it's another one of those kind of like he was saying, one of those classic Christmas movies where, like, if I ever needed to get into the Christmas spirit, I'm like, hey, let's go watch A Year Without Santa Claus, that's like the only one of these old movies that I actually get that feeling with. So yeah, this one's also going in passable.
Isn't it like just... I want to say something. How do you feel about that song, The Snow Miser, Heat Miser, being one of my favorite not Disney songs?
I think
it's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's perfectly fair.
Because
It's classic.
yeah,
It's a banger.
So, yeah, obviously putting aside the Snow and Heat Miser stuff, I think generally speaking, it being a story about how Santa is literally getting sick and that they're trying to cancel Christmas, that's kind of a unique thing because, I think this is based off of like an older story from like the 40s. But I think this adaptation does hold up. I think the one scene that I don't like about this is probably the scene where they try to convince, I think his name is Nicky, the kid in the movie, him that like, oh, you just got to believe in Santa Claus because we tell you to. That I don't like as someone who is pro scientific method, but that's besides the point. And also just Mrs. Claus just randomly teleporting, I just think is really funny. Like, she just, like at the beginning where she's like doing her monologue thing, she just randomly teleports in front of Santa Claus.
Yeah. I wish I would have watched more of this stuff.
So it's,
I should have. I just couldn't.
It's fair. But like, point being, like, the stuff that, like, you know, does try to be funny is generally funny. And even the stuff that's unintentionally funny, I just find hilarious. So that's why it's impassable for me. So, yay. Unfortunately, though, we are about to go back into another one. This one, I would not be surprised if either of you haven't seen it. Have you seen 'Twas the Night Before Christmas?
I haven't.
I've heard of it. Never seen it.
Okay, Izzy?
But I recognize that picture.
No, I haven't seen it either.
Okay, so funny enough, this actually came with... This is another one by Rankin Bass. This was one of the ones that came with a bundle of, like, a bunch of the movies that we had.
Yeah.
And so... It's below average. I mean, okay. I will just say this. Even though he causes the whole movie, the main characters are like mice in this one.
Yeah.
And... it's a family of 5. One of them is like a sciencey one. Even though he basically causes the movie by basically saying, "Oh, this whole like he's basically Santa Claus is fake or whatever." That's extremely based, and I like him as a result because he's like, because like, dude, he literally writes a letter to Santa basically saying, "No, you're fake. Don't go here." That's literally what he writes. Like, and it's.
Dang. Ruthless.
It's so it's so funny. And just because of that puts it above a not good. But I think just what kills this is just like that mid 1970s sort of like choppier animation. Like, granted, I don't think this one is nearly as like bad in terms of animation quality as like the original Frosty. But, like, it was still, you know, during that time when Hanna-Barbera was the one who was, like, dominant.
Yeah.
And because of that, like, other studios just weren't, like, doing enough in terms of, like, getting enough money or whatever.
Yeah.
And just everything else about this movie is just forgettable. There is this one song about, I think it's called, like, Giving Up or something. But other than that, it was just whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it, so I don't have anything to say on it, honestly.
It's fair. I wouldn't be surprised because they rarely show this on, like, you know, TVs, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, have you seen okay, I wouldn't be too surprised if either of you haven't seen this one either, but like, have you seen the Rudolph sequel? Rudolph Shiny New Year.
I didn't know there was a Rudolph sequel.
No. Is this a classic?
Like,
same one as the other Rudolph we had?
Actually, same voice actor. Same every character. Once again, our legendary Paul Frees comes in. Because, once again, he voices every single character, like Burgermeister, Pete Miser, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
This one... Okay. Hot take for y'all. I think I slightly like this one more than the original, only just because of just how stupid this one is. Because like,
double-edged sword.
Yeah. Because like the thing is that like this is the somewhat exception I was talking about. This because this is a New Year's mixed with Christmas.
Yeah.
And basically the whole story is Rudolph has to basically find the baby New Year. It's a complicated story. Long story short, he has to find a kid who's basically the new year every single year, and
personification of a new year.
Yeah, it's the personification of a new year.
Yeah.
And he has to he gets stolen. He runs away, because he has big ears. It's basically the Rudolph story all over again. But then Rudolph comes in and he's like, "Yo, don't do that."
He comes in and he's like, "Why aren't you at elf practice?"
So, But like he basically goes to like this. He basically time travels, like through like islands or what. It's weird. Like just look it up. But like I'm still gonna put
this to my list.
It's really weird. But
shit.
I'm gonna put this one at below average though because like, it's just really weird. Like it's just I don't know how else to describe it because like it's just. I mean, the songs are memorable, I guess. Rudolph has an emo episode in this.
Oh, really?
I swear.
Does he really?
Yes. Like, it's funny because like he was talking about, I can relate to this because I remember when everyone was making fun of me. That was definitely he literally does that in the film. Like, I swear to God. Like, which okay. Side note about that. I was originally going to make a full-on review on my YouTube channel about this, and I was originally going to have freaking Linkin Park, Evanescence, MCR, and The Day to Remember play through that entire scene because I thought that would have been really funny because it sets the freaking mood. Like,
Project for next year.
it's a New Year special.
Exactly. It's not even too late. Last minute.
So-
Cram it out.
So we have to. I don't even know where to find this. Like, yeah, we have to go through this one website, but
Do you have it on DVD or something? Is that how
well,
you
we
found
had it, but it's not here. But whatever.
Somewhere.
Point being is that like, I guess look at. I will just say one more thing. I liked this. I liked the model that they used for Rudolph in this one more than the original because they got rid of all. They basically destroyed the original models after the first Rudolph. I think I think the change actually works better because I just don't like the big eyes in the original. It just looks weird.
Yeah, that's fair.
But whatever. Just go search it out if you want to, because it's an acid trip, and I love it for that. Also, there's a giant vulture called Igor, and that's cool.
Nice.
All right, so you want to see another bad film? Nestor and the Long-Eared Donkey.
I actually am not familiar with this one either.
That
No.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not either.
This one, I think this is also taking away my bias against just Christian stories. This one's also bad. This one is a take it away, Fantano.
Not good.
It's bad. Guess what this one's based off of? Guess what this one's based off of?
Oh, I know. It's that one. It's the story of the donkey in the Bible.
Well,
carrying-
that, but what do they base it off of with the mix?
Oh, okay. He has big ears. Is it Rapunzel?
It's another Rudolph story.
Oh.
Oh my god, are you serious?
I'm not joking. It's literally beat by beat the same thing. Like, and they also have really crappy songs, and everyone treats Nestor like he's trash, and it's kind of insufferable. Like, even worse than the original Rudolph, which that's saying a lot considering this came out 12 years later. So just don't watch this. And like I said, that's even putting aside my freaking bias against these sort of stories. It's just objectively not good.
Yeah.
Like the characters are annoying. There's like this cherub who follows him for like half the film, and she has a really annoying voice, and it's stupid. Like, and even like the masters like treat him like trash. There's also Romans that just come in and like, yeah. Also, his mom dies. They pull a Bambi and have his mom die.
Oh, shit. Really?
Oh, wow.
Damn.
Oh, you almost said it.
Yeah, I caught myself.
Don't-
Caught myself.
You don't want to be on the naughty list.
Well, let's see.
But yeah, don't watch this. All right, let's move on.
Man, I really need to get myself caught up with these animations. I don't recognize a lot of these, honestly.
Oh my god.
Let's see.
Well, we're getting these all out done of the way. So,
Okay.
but okay, Frosty's Winter Wonderland. This is the sequel. This is the first sequel to Frosty.
I thought. Hold on. So is this the one where there's that guy who's like wants this to make this new snow machine? That would,
No,
like,
that's Frosty
completely get rid of-
Returns.
Okay.
This is a different one.
Okay, I don't think I've seen this one then.
Okay.
Probably haven't. I don't know. Give me a little synopsis.
Okay. Basically, he's Frosty's at the North Pole. Kids are sad. He goes back, and then he wants a wife. He wants to have like a snowman partner, and basically they make a snow woman. I forgot her name. And meanwhile, Jack Frost comes in, and he's like, "No, you can't do that."
Yeah, that does not sound familiar to me.
So,
what would you say? I'd say, I mean, I haven't seen it.
Fantano?
Not good.
Not good. It's not okay. Just the design just looks so weird because they tried to with this one they tried to make it to where it matched more with 'Twas the Night Before Christmas with like the characters and stuff.
Yeah,
and it just looks weird as a result. Like it's the same voice actors as before, because the thing about this by this time is that they were trying to basically make one of the first cinematic universes, kind of like Marvel nowadays.
Oh yeah.
And this was their like basically their sort of attempt to do that.
So there's like different plot points to get different characters throughout
Yes.
the movie.
And so yeah, basically they were trying to do that. But like just this one, it's just boring.
It just doesn't feel crowded because of it.
Well, they weren't doing that quite yet. They were building it up for Rudolph and Frosty, which we'll get to later. But the thing about this one is that like just nothing happens after they make Frosty's wife. It just happens. Like nothing. Like, the plot just doesn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
And Jack Frost is only there because he's jealous. So I wouldn't recommend this one. So no.
Don't watch it.
Okay. So which that leads up to Jack's own film. So
And is this part of the same universe? Or
yes, it's the same universe. So have you seen Jack Frost? The 1979 version, not to confuse with the stupid 1998 movie. That one's bad.
No, I'm not.
Okay. So honestly, this one I think is Rankin Bass's best film. It's actually pretty good. Basically the synopsis with this one is Jack Frost wants to be human. And so he's pretty much given a certain amount of time in order to basically get a bunch of stuff before he turns back into Jack Frost.
Yeah.
He has to fight this Russian guy, who's also voiced by Paul Frees, because everyone's
And it came
voiced...
out in 79.
What?
This came out in 79?
Yes.
And it's a Russian villain. That's funny. Always a Russian villain. In the 80s.
So, but yeah, no. And just, this one's also just a depressing film, because there's like a scene where there's like a bunch of presents that everyone's giving out, but nothing's in them, because they just use their imagination. It's
Dang.
really sad.
So, like, they see him and all the kids can see him and stuff?
Well, in his human form. They can't see him when he's in his Jack Frost form, similar to Rise of the Guardians, except we didn't count that one, because he insisted that's not a Christmas movie.
Is it like that scene in Pan where they have to imagine the food with the Lost Boys?
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's funny.
So, but like, it's just, I think it's just one of those stories that, like, generally speaking, like, it's basically the whole idea of, like, just being able to accept whatever gift, even if it's something you don't like.
It's a good message.
And also just, you know, typical anti-corruption thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just think Jack is not he's not, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm watching for myself. Unlike in Frosty, because it's the same character.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this one, I'm surprised not a lot of people know about this one. Because, like, it follows a similar beat to, like, some of the Santa Claus ones we just talked about.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, probably has to do with streaming. Streaming services are pushing out so many new Christmas movies. The classics are getting pushed aside.
well, it's probably just also because of the licensing deals, because all the stuff by Rankin Bass got split between CBS and Warner Brothers.
Oh,
So his rights just completely got into that
yeah,
mess.
tangled.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, if you could find it, I actually do recommend it. It's
Neat.
a good slice of life, especially in comparison. It actually doesn't feel like a Christmas movie at points.
Really?
Like, it kind of just, it's interesting.
That's cool.
But moving on. All right, now we got the crossover movie.
Crossover?
Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July.
What? I've never even heard of this.
So
that does not sound remotely familiar.
Izzy?
I have no clue.
Okay, so this is like an hour and a half long movie where Rudolph from the previous ones encounters Frosty, and they basically go up against this like frozen warlock guy, and he basically sends them off, and because he wants Rudolph's power, basically because he was given
have a glowing nose.
Yes, and he succeeds pretty much near the end. I'm just gonna spoil it because I don't think you guys are gonna see it. Because I'm not gonna lie. Guess what? This one's another Fantano.
Not good.
Not good. Because just this one's so convoluted. Because there are so many like mini like intricate plot points. Yeah. Like it. If you think Rise of Skywalker had so many plot points, yeah, no, it's one of those where they just
clustered.
Yeah, it's just like there's a freaking scene where like I mean it's cool that they reference a bunch of the other movies. They even reference Santa Claus is Coming to Town and Year Without Santa Claus a little bit in there. But like oh my god, this one was just so stupid. Also, okay. They actually do kill spoiler alert, they actually do kill the warlock guy, and basically this one cowboy girl thing or whatever, it's a whole story, basically throws guns at her because they're fake, and then because it breaks his staff, he randomly turns to a tree, and then you just see all of these characters just in shock.
Oh my god.
I'm not making okay. I saved this for you.
Oh yeah, you got it?
Yes. So we're not gonna get copyrighted. I've shown stuff before. They don't care.
Yeah,
it's just music. Look.
But Mama, there are only
Look at
bikes in those
you
guns.
can't make this up.
But the guns are
Can you see
made of
Izzy?
iron.
Yeah, I can see.
No! My powers are gone! When the scepter dies,
Oh my god.
I go too.
What?
Turn into a tree.
Oh my god. That's scary. That's horrifying.
It's pretty random.
Crawl.
Oh, that was beautiful.
It's that's the reason why it's okay. That's one of the many reasons why it's at the not good tier.
You don't like that scene?
No, I love that scene. It's amazing.
Dang.
But
That's funny. No, that's. I like how he just swipes his hand over his face and it goes from normal to tree.
that is a cool effect. But like, oh my god. Oh my god, that was great. But yeah, it's one of the
Creative. Very creative. Could have never thought of that.
okay. There's also some other stupid stuff in there. There's basically like a deformed reindeer who follows Rudolph and basically like makes him like steal money, and then Rudolph gets framed, and that's how he loses his power. It's stupid. It's really stupid.
It does sound very clustered. That's a lot going
God.
on in a Christmas
Okay.
movie.
Basically, if you want like actual quality, don't watch this. But if you want just an amazing time, go watch this. I have to show you this now.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll watch it.
All right, but you think that's crazy? Guess what?
What?
There's a movie, a Leprechaun movie that's based off of Christmas. It's called The Leprechaun's Christmas Gold.
I still have not seen it.
I'm not surprised, Izzy.
Same here. What is this?
This is an actual movie that they made. This came out in the early 80s. And okay, this one's okay, to be fair, this one's also freaking
Not good.
cuz like it's stupid. It's a stupid premise. Basically, apparently leprechauns celebrate Christmas, and they keep their gold. A banshee wants their gold, which, by the way, that's the banshee right there. It's a stupid scene.
Oh, that picture right there.
Yeah. Basically, there's this like human character who sees her and is like, "Whoa, no."
Yeah.
I'm just gonna skip over this one. It's not worth your time. Like, other than that stupid scene, what's even worse is that they make the banshee redeemed. Like, they try to redeem her, which is stupid.
Sometimes characters just don't need redeemed.
Yeah, it's don't watch this. What about Life and Adventures of Santa Claus? 1985. Okay. This one, it's based off an old story from like the early 20th century, and this was actually their last film. Rankin Bassett's last film, or at least like their last like major film.
Yeah.
Because they eventually ran out of business in the late 80s. Because guess what they were working on?
What?
Thundercats.
Oh.
Yeah.
There you go.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, spoiler alert, I just found this about a couple of years ago. Rankin Bass worked on Thundercats. I didn't know that, but there you go. And it's funny because they brought all of the cast from that movie, or from that show, into this movie. And so you just hear freaking, like, Tigor, or whatever his name is, as, like, Santa, and it makes no sense.
That's funny.
So, yeah, this one's also... Okay, I'll put this one at below average because I will admit it's a bit creative, but man, you can tell they were just running out of ideas. They completely just reused assets mixed with like newer assets, and it just looks weird. So,
yeah, no, I saw something like that. I have not seen this. This doesn't sound familiar. A lot of this list, like I said, does not even look familiar to me.
Don't worry,
You pulled out a lot of sequels and stuff I've never even heard of.
That's fine. I just wanted, once again, I'm doing this for that one random kid who's going to be like, hey, you didn't talk about this.
Yeah.
So, but it was, this one's a disaster trip, though I will just say the elf character that follows Santa around, he's really annoying. Oh my god, he needs to shut up. But that's besides the point because we're going to move on. So, guess what? Rankin Bass closed down. They are no longer a business since after the late 80s. Yeah, they had to foreclose. And this was around the time when they had to do a bunch of stuff. So, but guess what? The guy who made Peanuts thought it was a good idea to make another Frosty sequel, which is where we get Frosty Returns. Izzy?
Yeah, so this one I actually do know.
It's from the early 90s.
Yeah, so basically the whole plot is that, like I said, like the title suggests, Frosty comes back, and then there's this guy who's like your typical big, greedy, evil CEO who wants to make this new machine that would like completely get rid of snow and like so that you wouldn't have Christmas anymore. The whole thing is basically just, hey, mass pollution is bad. It's bad for the environment and whatnot. And I mean, for a kind of similar thing with Rudolph, for what it is, it's fine. Like, I appreciate the message trying to raise awareness for environmentalism and whatnot. The movie itself is kind of terrible, though, so I'd say it's below average. Like the... What's up?
Were you going to say something?
No, I was done.
Oh.
I haven't seen this.
How have you not seen this?
I just don't know. I don't know, man. I feel like you and I just have completely different Christmas movie list because a lot of these, like I said, a lot of these don't look familiar to me, man. I don't know.
What did you watch as a kid?
Okay, to be fair, you left out live action, so that's a good chunk.
Well, because live actions are lame. Like,
fair enough, but even lame or not, I've seen them.
Okay, Izzy. Okay, my thing about Frosty Returns, I think it's the best Frosty movie. Like, I'm just gonna be real. So, because I know people hated the environmentalist message, and I know that's an era of the early 90s. Watch our Cartoon Network thing involving Captain Planet for that. But I still think this one is just only a meh. Because the thing about this one is, the animation is kind of weird, though to be fair, it's made by the same people who made Peanuts back in the 50s and 60s. They kind of just did one last hurrah for that, for their own sake. So, but then also just, I mean, there's also just this weird like fairy guy who's like the narrator, and he looks really ugly.
Yeah.
But
He does look like he looks like a green bean.
but generally speaking, though, like I mean, the song is fine. Like the original "Let It Snow." So instead,
Yeah. Oh, that's the original one.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't this
let
one?
it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
That's pretty cool. That's a cool product to come out of this. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it came from this. But yeah, no. Then we reach the movies that probably ruined a bunch of people's childhoods throughout the late 90s and the 2000s. So this one I will be surprised a little bit if you
I
haven't
haven't seen
heard
it.
some of these. So, okay, so Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So obviously the original came out in the mid 60s. We got to change things up a little bit, right? So in 1998, a studio, I forgot their name, they bought the rights to basically make a Rudolph movie. And yeah, they came out in 1998. This one is not claymation or whatever. It's actually just regularly animated. And they got Whoopi Goldberg and John Feldman of Big Lebowski, Monsters Inc., and Emperor's New Groove fame. And they made this. So, what?
I said, that's interesting.
So, and okay, I'm not gonna lie. At first, I thought this one was going to be completely garbage because I've heard nothing but just bad things about this.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not gonna lie. It's actually hot take. It's better than it makes it seem, because like, it has that late 90s, early 2000s sort of animation where it just kind of feels flatter than like it just feels a bit like flat, you know.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, visually it's fine. I mean, there's actually some decent songs in here. Like, there's this one, like, Santa's not a jerk in this, or he's not as big of a jerk.
That's good.
But like, I think what really just kills this is the fact that this is basic. Like, they say it's not related to the 1964, but it's basically just a remake.
Yeah.
Like, and that would definitely show in the next film, which we'll talk about a little bit. And, I mean, it exists. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like bottom tier like some people make it out to be. It did bomb the box office because this was a theatrical release. It was trying to freaking compete with freaking Bug's Life.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Good luck.
yeah,
man.
and it freaking paid the price as a result. So
You don't mess with Pixar when it comes to box offices.
So yeah, no, that was a big mistake. But yeah, no. So yeah, there's that. I'm assuming you guys haven't heard about this, so not surprising. However, did you know that there was a sequel, not to this movie, but to the 1964 movie in the early
Really?
2000s, made by the same people who just made this Rudolph movie?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, this one is. They went back to like the same art direction as this one, except they tried making it CG.
Oh, yeah. I can already see a red flag.
Yeah, it's take it away, Fantano. No,
Not good.
there we go. It's not good. This one is borderline though. It's almost complete garbage.
Oh,
The
really?
the only reason why it's not an absolute garbage is actually because of the villain song. This actually has a surprisingly really good villain song.
Yeah.
And I'm shocked because the rest of this film is just not good. The animation's trash. The voice acting is pretty awful. God, the plot is so stupid. Basically, a bunch of toys are being stolen because of this like toy stealer thing or whatever, and it's bad.
Do they go to the Island of Lost Toys?
Yes, they do. They go there twice. Yeah,
I
they
do remember this. I don't know. Do they do that in an older movie?
well, they did once.
I probably remember that scene then.
But it's bad. don't watch this. Like I said, the only reason is because the villain song was actually pretty good, which is shocking because every other song was pretty cringe.
Yeah.
And also just because like during the action scenes in the third act, they are so unintentionally funny, where I was just, oh my god. So don't watch this. Don't look this up. This was the early 2000s, and CG was still new at the time, but even back then, freaking Jimmy Neutron came out. Shrek came out this year, and was way better animated. Yeah. So there's no excuse. And yeah, this one's bad. All right.
I haven't seen it.
It's good. Don't watch this.
Save myself the time.
Okay. All right, let's move on. I'm gonna make this one quick. Santa Baby. This was the whatever his name, Rankin. This was his last film because even though his studio fell off, he worked on this film. Have you seen this?
No.
Izzy.
Santa Baby. No, I haven't.
Okay. Okay. Long story short. You've got freaking this one dad who is basically broke, and he has to get enough money to like get his like daughter like a gift or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, you got Yzma for Emperor New Groove voicing a cat in this one.
Oh really?
Oh dang.
So
that's funny.
But like this one just is so drab looking. Like, I mean, this one's like borderline, like between like a below average and not good. I think this one's probably just edges out at below average. I think the problem with this one is just like it's just the most cliche Christmas story that they could have just done.
Yeah. That's fair.
So I don't know. It's just, I mean, it's cool that has some representation because like this is like based off of African American family. But like outside of that, it just feels so bland, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of generic.
So I personally wouldn't recommend that in that regard. But what do I know? All right. Next up, you watched Cartoon Network, right?
Yeah.
Izzy, did you watch? Oh wait, you already told me your answer about that.
Yeah, who hasn't watched Cartoon Network?
Okay. Do you remember in the mid 2000s when they would do like a bunch of Christmas specials?
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, my headset has come unplugged.
Oh no!
Everything is terrible. Oh, everything is awful. Oh, everything. Great googly boogly. It's all gone to. Okay, I can't finish that quote. But anyways, what were you saying?
So, do you remember whenever they did a bunch of Christmas specials, like they would occasionally play, like just a bunch of like third-party ones, not even like ones from Cartoon Network?
Yeah, kind of.
So, did you know that there was another Frosty sequel called The Legend of Frosty the Snowman?
There's a third one? Are you serious?
Yes, they made a fourth one.
Or a fourth one, rather? Oh my god.
So, this...
I might know this one. I'm gonna need a refresher.
Okay, so basically, Frosty comes back into this, like, random town, but, like, the town is just so against Frosty, and...
For any particular reason, or just to be against him?
Well, it's because the kids keep going out and all that stuff. But there's a principal of a school who hates him so much that he's willing to like steal his hat. And there was a whole scene where they were trying to like there was one scene where everything was being based off like this comic strip, and that comic strip was retelling the original, and it was getting to the point where it was predicting that literally everyone was going to be mind controlled by this freaking principal.
Oh my god.
Dang.
But they eventually steal back the hat and make basically Frosty, who's voiced by Patrick Star.
That's funny.
Nice.
But okay, this sounds like an acid trip, and while it is, it's garbage. It's actually just really bad.
Yeah. Not even a fun acid trip.
Yeah, it's bad because like the animation is trying to be like a like a 1950s like style. But like it just fails, and just everyone is just so creepy in this. Like they have like this whole idea of Believe It to Beaver, like that's sort of like the style that they are, and I can't stand that. And they try to do a dystopia like parody thing with this.
Really?
It's so don't watch this. I'm actually surprised that you don't remember this, because this aired a lot on Cartoon Network.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I watched more Nick up until I'd say about
enough.
2010 or so.
Fair enough. Okay.
And then I started getting into Cartoon Network.
Okay, I was a bit of a mix. So
Disney Channel and Nick were early 2000s, and then early 2010s were Cartoon Network for me.
okay, fair enough. So yeah, they messed up Rudolph. They messed up Frosty. So
Just can't seem to get it right.
yeah, like let's go back to Year Without Santa Claus, right? So
Okay.
the best part was the Miser Brothers, right?
Yeah.
You know, really cool guys.
Yeah.
You think it'd be a good idea that maybe they should get their own movie, right?
You'd think.
That sounds awesome.
You'd think. No,
Was it not?
I'm going to guess that this is going to go in the not good, given how you're building up anticipation.
Shall we proceed?
Let's see.
Let's
see. I'm
do
itching
it.
to see this.
So, A Miser Brothers Christmas. This came out in 2008. And you've heard of this, right?
I've heard of the Miser's Brothers. I don't think I've heard of this.
Izzy.
rendition
I
of
hadn't.
them.
No, I haven't. I actually had no idea this movie existed.
Okay, yep. You caught on to me. This one's
Not good.
not good. It's
What's so bad about it?
okay, so they redesigned the Miser Brothers, and they look weird. I don't know if you can tell. Like they have like
Redesigned.
yeah, like they try to make them more like human looking, and
Oh, yeah.
basically the whole story is that like they have like the Miser Brothers have to get along, and what's keeping them from getting along is because of their brother, the North Wind. And he basically, because he's like, you know, oh, I'm like the number one or whatever.
Yeah.
And that causes a bunch of drama, and it's so bad, and the songs are garbage, and they completely redesigned Miss Claus, who looks completely different than what she did in the 70s. Don't watch this. Granted, this is better than the live-action remake of A Year Without a Santa Claus, but that is besides the point.
Yeah. There was a live action remake?
Oh my god, are you
I did
serious?
not know that. I did not know that at
Where
all.
were you back in 2006?
I was
In my
in
head.
kindergarten.
Yeah.
My god.
That's wild. I mean,
Oh my
I bet
god.
that's horrific.
It's...
I was but a wee lad.
But yeah, don't watch this. It's bad. Like, granted, I can at least appreciate them actually going back to the traditional stop motion,
Yeah.
which is cool. It just sucks that they didn't make a good story out of it. And they messed up the best part of The Year Without a Santa Claus, which is no. Shameful. Hey, Izzy,
Shame. Big
do you know
shame.
how I feel about this?
Tell me, Dave. How do you feel?
It's bad.
Understandable.
So yeah, okay, but thankfully for your sake, we are done with all the Rankin Bass related films.
I see.
Yay.
Finally.
Yay!
I know that.
It only took us like 40 minutes to go through that. But
Right?
okay, so from this point onwards, we're pretty much just going to do what we typically do. Typically, what we do is we choose three of each thing on a tier list, and then we pretty much do it in a rotation. Since I pretty much have been choosing everything from this point onwards, I'm going to let you choose which three we should talk about.
Okay. Okay.
Because I just wanted to get all those out of the way, because I know there was going to be one kid who was going to be like, oh, I didn't talk about the 1998 Rudolph.
Yeah.
So
Let's see. So, okay.
we can zoom in if you need to.
Well, obviously, regular show is sticking out to me like a sore thumb
Oh
because
my God.
that is my favorite
Ooh.
show ever. I love that show so much.
Oh, dude, Regular Show is pretty good.
Yeah, this is...
And I know exactly what episode this is.
Yeah.
I love this episode. Mm-hmm. This one has to be... If there was a tier above passable, it should go in there because it is far more than passable. It is glorious.
It is so glorious.
They fight an evil elf who has the power to give you whatever you want. And they throw Santa down a volcano, and he rescues them with a hoverboard that he just pulls out of this tiny box. And it's awesome. I love it. I love everything about it. It's over the top, which is exactly what you would come to expect from a regular show. And, you know, just... I mean, I don't even know what to say about it besides that. I mean, it's just so over the top and just funny. I mean, just how far they have to go to help Santa and everything. And the fact that Benson and Skips and them don't believe them just makes it that much better. Mm-hmm. So they get blamed for all the property damage until they actually see Santa. I love it. So...
Yeah, I agree. If there was a tier above passable, I would absolutely put it in there as well. It's a great episode of Regular Show, great Christmas episode. It's like he said, pretty much everything that you'd expect out of a Regular Show episode. It's wacky, it's over the top, it's trippy as hell. I really like the way that they interpret Santa in this episode.
Dude,
like
Yeah, he doesn't look... Dude, he's not a freaking bitch in this one. Like,
he
right? Like, he's actually kind of a badass. But, like...
You can go.
But, no, yeah, I would definitely... I'm putting this in passable, but if there was a higher rank than that, it would definitely go in there.
Yep, this one's passable. And, honestly, this is probably my favorite interpretation of Santa. Because, like, he's... I love it whenever they try to do something different with him.
Yeah.
Because, like... That just doesn't happen anymore, like, or just ever. And
right,
just
like
the fact
I can only see so many different interpretations of the same jolly old fat man before it starts to get old, you know.
So I'm all for that, and also just like you said, he's basically trying to protect, like, go basically give out a present that basically makes everyone greedy and all that stuff, and. Oh my god, it's just so funny. Dude, Papa freaking wrestles a polar bear.
Oh, yeah.
He does.
And it's
also,
awesome.
there's a scene where they have to play pinball in order to make the bridge lengthen, and like Mordecai and Rigby both end up just completely sucking at it, and so Benson has to come in and help him out, and it's a really cool scene.
Yeah, that's some lore. That's some regular show lore.
Dear Santa, you didn't give me an invisible cloak,
and then Muscle
dude.
Man is like super agile and getting through the first part. He's like a ballerina. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Dear Santa, dude, you didn't give me an invisibility cloak. So no, this one's passable. Like, honestly, I would definitely rewatch this like any day of the week.
Same.
It's great.
Oh yeah,
same. Absolutely.
Show.
So
That's what I put on in the background. Let's see.
All right.
Am I picking next, or is it someone else's?
you
turn?
can choose 2 more,
Okay.
and then Izzy can choose 2 or
Let's
3.
see.
Excuse me.
Well, let's see. I gotta stick to what I know. So Polar Express.
Oh no.
Oh, you don't like the Polar Express?
Well, I'll let both of you talk about it first.
Okay, so for me personally, I would put this in meh because same thing with the what I said earlier about the Meisters and stuff. I forget what that one's called, but
Year Without a Santa Claus.
yeah. Whenever I think of Christmas, I think of the Polar Express. The soundtrack makes me, hearing that makes me think of Christmas. The hot chocolate scene, classic. You know, every year in elementary school, day before we'd go on Christmas break, watch Polar Express and drink some hot chocolate with your classmates.
Mm-hmm.
The animation I always thought was wacky. The animation is the one thing that always took me out of it, though, because they just look so awkward and smooth.
It's starting to look dated now.
Yeah, even whenever it was kind of newer, I always thought this animation doesn't look as good as other animation coming out and stuff. Mm-hmm. But good story. The whole sequence in the North Pole is really cool. I really like how they set up the North Pole in this and stuff, because it's a cool big city. It's not just some cabins with old wood it is a functioning city that these people live in, and it's like believable. Like, yeah, you could live in there year round, and so I really like that aspect of it too. That's one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah. Okay, so with me personally, if there was like a middle tier between meh and passable, I would put it in there. But I'd say it's definitely more passable. And I'm also, just because there is no mid category, I'm putting it in passable. But I really like this movie. It's like, yeah, again, it's like one of those definitive classic Christmas movies, and like I have a lot of nostalgic memories of like kind of same thing he was saying. Just every year for elementary school, we would gather up and we'd all show up in our PJs and drink hot chocolate with our classmates. It was a good time. But anyway, the soundtrack slaps. You got Tom Hanks as the voice of the conductor. I love Tom Hanks. He's like one of my favorite voice actors. Again, no, yeah, I pretty much have the same criticisms that they do. Whereas the animation, I'm sure for the time it probably looked fine. I mean, it was one of Disney's first motion capture movies.
This technically was before they were bought by Disney. Actually,
that is true. It's technically, well, yeah. But no, yeah, like it definitely hasn't aged very well looking back at it now. In fact, it looks borderline uncanny in a lot of places, especially with some of the models and stuff. But other than those few small complaints, I think it's definitely a solid movie.
You want to hear my hot take?
Let's hear it.
What's your hot take, Dave? Enlighten us.
Below average.
But that hurts.
Hear me out. So, I will just say this. For the time, this was actually a really good looking movie. Like, back in 2004, there was nothing as good as this.
Yeah.
Like, this was like pretty much the Avatar 2009 of that era, of the mid 2000s. And I remember whenever like it first started to come out, because like it was such a big deal at the time. Because like motion caption was still a newer thing at the time.
Yeah.
Or like at this scale. And that was kind of cool. Also, I do like a lot of the concepts, like the big city being the North Pole and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Then you get into the little details. So, do you remember the name of the characters?
Yeah,
I know the main character's name is like Max or something, isn't it?
Are you sure about that?
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that. The characters aren't super memorable.
Oh, spoiler alert, they don't have names. They literally do not have names. If you look at the credits, they just say boy and girl. And all
Really?
that stuff.
I swear the main character had a name.
Yeah, they never had names.
I never realized that. That once. So
Neither did I,
that's
honestly.
crazy. So they just don't
that's
even say their
weird.
names.
Nope,
throughout the movie.
they don't say their names. Which, I mean, that could be seen as like, oh, that could just be a metaphor for, you or me or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, but like, if you're gonna give them personalities...
Okay, I can see that in two ways. I can see that as a problem, but I can also see that as, praise. Because it's like, okay, these characters don't have names, and I never realized. And usually,
phrase,
no, but listen. Usually, if you don't remember a character's name, that says something about the movie and stuff. But like, I remember most plot points about this movie and stuff, and I never even realized that they didn't even have names because I wasn't focused on that, like their names and stuff. I was focused on like the story at hand and everything. Like, it never mattered to me.
But like,
I don't know.
Then that comes into my other biggest thing. There's a lot of filler in this film. Like, if you really think about it. Like, for example, the ticket scene where it just flies all over the countryside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, just whenever they're going through a lot of the different areas within the North Pole.
Yeah.
Like, the little streets and stuff. Like, it did kind of feel like it was padding time.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
I mean,
fair.
to be fair, like, I mean, it's based off of a book from like I think late 90s,
Oh, really?
maybe. Don't quote me on that one. But like, I don't know. It just felt like it was padding time. Granted, the engineers, those guys were funny. The guys who were trying to look for the pin.
Yeah, those guys were hilarious. I love them.
So, but like, I guess just sort of my thing is just a lot of story elements. I think that's what really kills it. If you rewatch it over and over again, which I did as a kid, and just the more and more I rewatched it, the more problems I started to see over the years.
That's fair. I mean, I've never really watched it from like a analytic point of view. I just watch it as it's Christmas time. Time to put on the Polar Express.
Oh my god.
Kind of view.
But I don't know. To be fair, I'm just a bit more like analytical and critical when it comes to my media.
No, that's fair. I mean, I've been getting that way too, and sometimes I'll watch things like that. But sometimes I just watch things because I just want to shut my mind off.
Fair.
Back to regular show. Perfect show for that. But
okay, but at least the writing is good with regular show.
Yeah. I mean, we could write a regular show episode though. Like, I mean, it's like just slapstick, crazy, off the wall situational comedy. If we can come up with a crazy situation, we could have a regular show episode. Oh my god,
what's your last episode or last thing?
My last thing. Once again, I gotta stick to something I know. So, I will do...
Here's a zoom up.
Everything I've picked so far, I like for the most part. See if there's something I don't like. Oh, is this Grandma Ran Over?
Yes!
Oh, okay. I haven't seen this in a long time, but I remember how bad it was. That's what I will say about that.
So
I couldn't tell you plot points of it, but I just remember how stupid it is to base a movie off of a song. Like, not even a good song. Yeah. Like, so, I mean, I'll do that one. I'd put that one in the absolute garbage because, I mean,
Not good.
it's just bad. That's really all I can say about it. I just remember how bad it was. Like, I don't remember any of the names or anything. She's missing the whole time, right? And then there's a trial at the end.
yes!
Yeah, and so...
And they also have this weird, like, Hawaiian song in the middle.
Oh, yes! Oh my god, I forgot about that. That came out of nowhere. It was just random in the middle of the court scene.
Yes!
Yes, I do remember that. That was stupid. Yes, that whole movie is dumb. Absolute garbage. Awful. Worst. It's got to be the worst movie on this tier list so far.
Izzy.
Okay, so hold on. I didn't catch the title. What?
Grandma got ran over by a reindeer.
Okay, so I'm kind of in the same boat where, like, I remember the song and I remember watching this movie like twice whenever they used to play it on Cartoon Network all the time.
This was another one that aired a lot on that. Oh my god.
Oh no, yeah, I remember. They used to air it on Cartoon Network like pretty much every year for Christmas. But no, yeah, like the only thing I vividly remember about this movie is just hating it with every fiber of my being. So no, absolute garbage. This is a dog shit movie. I hate it.
Yeah, this one is, if this is the equivalent to F, it's F tier. Fantano.
Not good.
It's bad. Don't watch this. Like,
Not
the
good.
animation is just so choppy. It's really boring as well. This is another really boring, like, one. Because, like, just nothing happens.
Yeah.
Like, literally, they just kind of just stand around. And it's so uncanny, too, because Dylan's gonna kill me for saying this. This film looks... I was so confused whenever I first saw this because I thought this was like a Scooby-Doo thing because like the villain looked kind of like Daphne or whatever. Like it looks like the same animation as like those late 90s, early 2000s Scooby-Doo films.
I mean, Cartoon Network, you know, you look at Ben 10, Scooby-Doo, and all the early 2000s Cartoon Network, it's kind of got that
What's do
polished,
Scooby-Doo?
clean lines.
Coming after
look to
you.
it.
Well, but the difference between like this one is that it still had like a muted color palette. Like that was before that era.
Yeah.
Like because that was in the mid to late 2000s when they started to do like a bunch of bright colors.
Yeah.
But this looked more like Zombie Island and Witch's Ghost, and that confused me as a kid.
Yeah.
And Not only that, but also just like the kid, he's dumb. The whole idea of grandma being like in the North Pole, it's just lame, especially in just a matter of like, I mean, to be fair, it's Christmas magic. She could have just easily been there, but like, also she looks way too young to be a grandma. If you really look at it.
Yeah.
Granted, this picture doesn't really showcase what the actual animation style is, but like,
I have a big enough memory of it.
Yeah, it's bad. Don't watch this. Like, if I'm just gonna be real, don't watch this. It's bad. And shame on Cartoon Network for putting this for like a good 15 years.
Yeah.
It's awful. But all right, so I think that's your last pick. So
Yeah,
Izzy, you get to
3.
choose 3.
All right, it looks like it's my turn.
Yep.
So for my first pick, I'm gonna go with Holly Jolly Secrets, the Adventure Time Christmas special. This is not only one of my favorite Christmas episodes of any TV show, but also just one of my favorite episodes of Adventure Time, just in general. So basically what happens is Finn and Jake witness Ice King burying these secret tapes that they assume are part of some evil plan of his. So they decide to have a little Christmas watch party with Bubblegum and Marceline and the gang. This is where you first find out about the Ice King's backstory and his past as a Simon, and like when he found the crown and started going crazy because of it. I like it a lot because this is like the point in the show where things finally start to get kind of interesting, and specifically with Ice King, it gives a lot of much needed depth to his character outside of just being a lonely pervy old wizard who's always kidnapping princesses. It elevated his character much past that and set him up to be one of the best characters in the show. And so I respect it for that. And so same thing with regular show. If there was a rank above passable, it would definitely go there because this is a phenomenal episode of TV, but it's going in passable.
Okay, so I'm not caught up on Adventure Time, so I haven't actually sat down and watched this episode. I don't know what season it's in, so I don't know if I'm coming close to it or not.
Season 2?
Yeah, because I mean, I used to not like Adventure Time. I used to only like regular show, but then I started.
It's not season 2. I think it's season 3 or 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I haven't sat down and watched this whole episode, but I do know about this episode. This episode is actually partly what got me interested into start watching Adventure Time again and actually sit down and watch through it. Because, I mean, you do hear about the Ice King's backstory, becoming a scientist, and then the crown making him go mad and everything. So I always thought that was interesting, learning that there was more lore to this series than just it being set in a fantasy world. Like, this is real world post some crazy events. So I thought that was really cool, but can't say much more on it because, like I said, I haven't actually sat down and watched this episode all the way through. I've just seen snippets of it and stuff from other Adventure Time things I've seen.
Right.
All right, so I'm actually kind of in the same boat that he was, like, 5-10 years ago about Adventure Time.
Yeah.
I just never really cared. Go watch my Cartoon Network tier list if you want my opinions. But basically, I just didn't really care for Adventure Time, like, ever. I don't really like that Cal art, that art style, especially since that was just overused the past 10 years because of this show.
Mm-hmm.
And just because of that, I'm just gonna put this in the meh category. It's not that it's a bad episode. It's just I just don't care for Adventure Time. That's all I've got to say.
Yeah, I feel that.
So
that's understandable. All right. So for my second pick, let's talk about Illumination Studios' How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Oh, no.
So this one came out in 2018. Like as the title suggests, it's another Illumination Studios adaptation of a Dr. Seuss book. Those are all of them are not great, but I think this one is the least not great out of all of them, which admittedly isn't saying much.
That's a low bar.
But I do like some of the bits from the story. Like I think they had the the live action version and the cartoon both do the kind of the same thing where they try to give the Grinch a more sympathetic backstory to kind of make you empathize with this character more. I think the Illumination version did it in a much less egregious and like terrible way than the live action adaptation did. I think the animation is pretty neat. I like how they got Tyler the Creator in to do some of the songs for the soundtrack. I thought that was pretty cool because I'm a big Tyler the Creator fan. But yeah, overall, like I said, it's the least bad of the Illumination Dr. Seuss adaptations, but that's still not great. I would put this one in below average.
I'm still gonna put this one in.
Also, most of the side characters are just kind of annoying. Like the reindeer that they meet like halfway through the movie, that he's just basically just the annoying animal sidekick. Anyway, sorry, that's all I had to say. But
okay, this one's. I'm still gonna put this in the
Not good.
tier because, like, quite frankly, this one is just still just so bland and soulless of a film. And granted, you're gonna hate me for this because I don't like the 2000 How to Grinch Stole Christmas.
Oh yeah, you told me that.
Yeah, like that one's just bad in almost every single way.
I don't think anybody actually likes that movie. They just like Jim Carrey as the Grinch.
I think it's a fair statement because that's all anyone takes away from that movie is Jim Carrey.
Yeah, and he's been in way better films, but that's besides the point with that one. Point is, well, here's the thing as well. They have Benedict Cumberbatch as the Grinch in this one. And I like Benedict Cumberbatch. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
It just sucks that, like, he was just given such a bland version of the Grinch. Like, he's just so mopey in this film. Like he's not like, you know, like he's not like, you know, like trying to be like particularly like evil or anything, but he just feels like just a normal guy, and it's just that's not what the Grinch is supposed to represent. He's supposed to represent everything that people just do not like about, you know, that type of like person, and it just feels off for this type of film. Now, granted, Izzy did say that this is one of the better Illumination films, but that's not saying much because Illumination films is garbage. Yeah. Like, Lorax is bad. Don't watch that. And the same thing here. Don't watch this. Like, especially it just plays it too safe. And I'm sick and tired of Illumination just not taking risks. Like, they just don't take risks. Because they know they can't. Like, they don't have to because they have so much money anyways.
Yeah.
And it just sucks that they're one of who owns them?
Illumination. Isn't it DreamWorks?
Well, I thought. Well, then, like.
No, it's the other way around. Like the same people that own Illumination currently own DreamWorks because they had to DreamWorks they had to sell because they were going under.
So, but like, point being is that like I'm just sick and tired of just that studio trying to play it safe.
Yeah.
And it just sucks that they're not going to because they know they can't.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've got nothing else to say because Izzy pretty much said it all.
Yeah. My thoughts on the film was when this came out, I put it on and never finished it, and I haven't finished it since. Biggest takeaway from this is the Tyler the Creator album that came with it. I thought that was pretty good. I like his rendition. I like Tyler the Creator, so I liked his rendition of the Grinch song, and I thought his whole Christmas album was good, but really that was the most I got from this movie was that album. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about it, because like I said, I saw like the first 30 minutes of this movie, and I was just very uninterested. I was like, if I want to watch a Grinch movie, I can watch a better one with Jim Carrey in it. So,
all right. So for my last pick, we'll finish things off on a strong note, at least for me, with the motion cap animated Christmas Carol movie. With
Jim Carrey.
Yeah, with Jim Carrey as Ebenezer. A lot of people don't really like this movie very much. I actually really do. I think it's a really interesting take on the Christmas Carol story. In fact, it's like much more faithful to the book, which I really like. Obviously, you got Jim Carrey as Ebenezer Scrooge, which is just an absolute treat to watch, just because I really like Jim Carrey. some of the animation, kind of the same thing as Polar Express. This was like back in the era where a lot of animation companies were still kind of experimenting with motion capture animation, and because of that, again, some of the animations haven't really aged very well. Especially for the Ghost of Christmas Past, I don't like how like they superimpose just a real face on where like the face should be. It's very uncanny, very scary to look at. Um, but like other than that, I'd say it's a pretty solid movie. I would put this one in passable.
Okay. Me. I would say, like he said, whenever it first came out, big thing for me was the animation. Just because, I don't know, something about just like that style of animation to where it's like you almost try to make it so realistic, but yet you don't have the means to make it photorealistic. So then it just kind of looks like that awkward. Just looks awkward. So that was a big thing for me. Jim Carrey, great in the movie. I mean, he can really play any role that you need exaggeration and that extra oomph in.
Yeah. He's a very versatile actor.
Yeah, he delivers on that. I mean, it's a Christmas story, or Christmas Carol. Like you can't. It's hard to mess up.
The story of how like the rich need to be supernaturally terrified into sharing.
Yeah, so. I mean, I'd put it on. I'd put it on like below average because to me, the best Christmas Carol story is Scrooged. I love that movie, but I think this one does fine at it. Like if you're curious and want a good adaptation of it, you can throw this one on and get everything out of it that you would want.
I think I'll just go in between both of you guys.
Yeah.
And put it like at the very lowest of meh. I think generally speaking, this one's slightly better than Polar Express.
Yeah.
But a lot of the same criticism. Well, here's the thing. Some of the animation in this one is pretty good. I think I do like how this one tries to be a bit more creepy in comparison, because like there are some really messed up scenes in this one, like the kid scene.
I remember watching this at Aunt Patty's like 2 years.
Yeah, or like the scene where he ends up leaving the Ghost of Christmas Present. That scene, that like genuinely made me uncomfortable to watch.
Mm-hmm. And just anything involving the Ghost of Christmas Present was just kind of creepy in this one. I think my biggest problem with this one is that I just feel like the animation looked a bit more uncanny with this one than Polar Express, which is weird because this came out 5 years after.
Yeah.
Like, because like when you looked at like the Scrooge's former partner or whatever, who's like dead, he looks so fake. Like, it just looks so out of place in the movie.
Yeah.
And also, I just feel like a lot of the faces just look awfully pinkish.
Yeah.
Like, especially Jim Carrey's Scrooge. Like, he just looks so weird, Like, I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get what you're saying.
But, like, I don't know. Point being is that, like, granted, I don't really pay attention to Christmas Carol all that much. Like, I get the message, basically, just don't be a jerk and, have a little bit more sympathy. But, like, I just feel like, and granted, this I do think is one of the better adaptations, just overall. I wouldn't really go back to it, though. I feel like this is one where you kind of just watch it once and then you kind of move on.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
that's kind of how I feel.
Mm-hmm. All right. Dave, it's your turn.
My turn. All right, so let's start off with one that I think is definitely passable. Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
hell yeah.
I mean, it's passable. Like, it's not even a contest. Like, I think it's kind of cool that they like were able to merge Halloween with Christmas.
Yeah.
And I do think that, generally speaking, I mean, Jack, he's pretty great. Most of the songs are good. except for Making Christmas. That one's bad. But like Oogie Boogie's song is great. What's this? What's this? There's something in the air. What's this? There's something in the air. What's this? Can't believe my eyes. I can't remember the lyrics. What's this? But yeah, no, generally speaking, it's a great, I think, but here's probably my biggest hot take. Even though I'm putting this on passable, I think this movie is slightly overrated. Like, just slightly, because I think it's a good musical, but I just feel like it's just an okay film overall. Like, I think the animation is gorgeous. Like, it's one of the best looking, like, animations that, like, that's associated with both Disney and Tim Burton.
Yeah.
Because, well, I don't think he directed this. I think he was just...
he didn't direct it.
Yeah, no, he was just one of the producers.
Yeah.
But, like, I just feel like, generally speaking, like, I like the blend. Is it a Christmas movie? But I just wanted something good. Or, like, just something that was actually tolerable compared to what we just talked about. So, therefore, it's on the list.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
Yeah.
I can't really add much else. It's Nightmare Before Christmas. Everyone knows this film.
Yeah.
So, what you guys think?
I mean, I love this movie. The soundtrack's amazing. I mean, I would listen to the soundtrack just in my car when I would be driving places sometimes just because it was so good. The animation, amazing. I love what they do with it. I mean, there's even little details that sometimes you wouldn't notice until a second or third watch, like the scene where bats are flying. You can actually see the strings on the bat, and they did that intentionally, and I like that because it's like, it gives it kind of that like campy feel, but it doesn't take you out of the movie at the same time. I think it's really creative how they divided up all the holidays in their own lands, going through a tree. I thought that was really cool. And, I mean, just overall, I mean, it's just hard to say anything bad about this movie. It's a classic. I mean, you can watch it in October all the way till December. I mean, because it could be a Halloween or a Christmas movie. So it's got that longevity to it that these other ones don't have, because it's like these other ones you don't want to watch until after Thanksgiving. Or that's me personally. I don't like watching Christmas stuff or listening to Christmas music till after Thanksgiving.
Thank you for being based.
Yeah, but this one I will throw on the day after Halloween, and it does not bother me because I'm like, it's Halloween and Christmas. Like, it's best of both worlds.
It takes place right after
We'll
Halloween.
have Halloween on Christmas, and in the night we'll
I just
wish
realized this is
never
another
ends.
exception to the rule.
Yes and no. I mean, it's a Christmas movie. I mean, main plot is him becoming Santa and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, Izzy.
No, I absolutely adore this movie. I do agree with Dave in the sense that there are some flaws that I feel like some people kind of overlook. Like, hot take for y'all, I actually kind of don't like Jack Skellington's character.
Thank you. I'm not.
That's fine.
I like the arc that he goes through, and like I respect the message of the movie, but like, no, I feel like he's just kind of unnecessarily dickish at times, and like,
Oh, you're going to hell. You said the naughty word. You're going.
no, that's not a naughty. There are PG-13 movies that say dick.
It could be a name.
Yeah.
I get your point, though.
But no, yeah, and also some of the songs are kind of forgettable, but overall the soundtrack is very good, especially the Oogie Boogie song. That's absolutely my favorite track on there. It's such a timeless classic. It's just Oogie Boogie, just in general. I love him. I love I can't remember the actor's name, but I really love him as well. He was the genie in the Aladdin play. And recently, they got him to do the voice of Asmodeus in the most recent episode of Hell of a Boss, or at least the most recent episode as of a couple months ago.
Okay. Cool.
But no, yeah, and I definitely agree in the sense it's got that thing going for it where it's Halloween and Christmas, so you can watch it like at any point during that time of the year and not have to feel weird about it, you know. So that just adds more enjoyment to it for me.
Okay, let's move on to something that's a bit more hardy, fun. Sorry for wasting time.
Oh no, you're good.
Ever heard of all of the other reindeer?
I've heard the name. I've never actually seen it.
That picture looks familiar. Is that a TV show?
It's a show. It's a little Christmas special from the year of our Lord.
It's 1999.
It came out in the very, very late 90s. Basically, the whole story is that like this dog heard all of the other reindeer names Olive, thinking, "Oh, Santa wants me because my name's Olive," and they go up and go to the North Pole, and yeah, they have fun adventures.
Sounds like a creative plot. I think that's kind of funny, having his name be Olive, and he thinks that Olive is his name.
That's cute.
I'm surprised. Have you seen this or?
I mean, like I said, that picture looks really familiar, but
It's possible that I've seen it at some point in the past. I just don't really remember it.
This
Yeah.
Okay. At first, I thought this was
Like I said,
Flash
the name is
animated.
definitely familiar.
Yeah, it looks like it's Flash animated, but it's actually 3D animated, which is really weird. But it's innocent enough. It's passable. Like the play on words is fine. Like for being a show that was able to look like basically incorporating like hints of Flash animation, because like Flash animation was still very new at the time. Like
Yeah.
Blue's Clues was pretty much the only show that was doing Flash animation in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's harmless. It's fine. Like, it's a bit of a fun thing. I think my only issue with this one is similar to Polar Express. They do kind of have a little bit of filler. But I think the difference between this and Polar Express is that they tie in the filler within the actual plot. And so it doesn't feel like it's just completely pointless.
Yeah.
Also, the mailman villain is kind of funny. Because he's basically just saying, "Oh, you can't have letters because I hate." He's basically like a Grinch-like character, except he's trying to basically cancel Christmas through like mail.
That's funny.
So, yeah, he's kind of like the Frosty villain. He's like a mix between the Frosty the Snowman villain and the Grinch. It's funny.
Let's check this out.
Oh my God, what is wrong with that? Oh, okay, fair enough.
On here.
All right, I'll do one more. Actually, it's something that I kind of wanted to talk about. So, you guys probably know this by now. One of my favorite TV shows growing up as a kid was My Life as a Teenage Robot. You guys can check out my Nickelodeon thing. I did a whole spiel on that. And, you know, it was one of my favorite shows, you know?
Yeah.
And they made a Christmas episode. And I have to say this. This episode has got to be one of the most interestingly not good ones.
Oh. You got us.
Not good.
It's honestly the worst episode in the show, and I'm pained because, like I said, every other episode is so good. Because here's the thing with this episode. Basically, you remember the show, right?
Yeah.
Like, basically, teenage XJ9 is a robot, and she has to go through a bunch of like superhero stuff while trying to live a normal teenage life.
Yeah.
That's the basic premise, but it's actually a really goddamn good show in that regard. But there was one episode that Rob Renzetti even himself regrets, and that's the Christmas episode, because this completely just blows away everything that the show represented. Like,
really?
basically the whole thing is that she, like, after like Christmas or whatever, she gets kidnapped, and for basically a year she got reprogrammed by this spoiled kid, and basically made the entire town go up against her, even her own friends Brad and Tucker, and even her own mom. Which is something that I think is really disgusting that they did in that show, especially since they were basically her only friends.
Yeah.
And I'm completely, like, it does piss me off that they did that to her, because that is something that is just absolutely messed up. The only reason why it's not in absolute garbage, even though I wish it was, is that they actually made Sheldon redeem himself because he was acting a bit weird in the first couple of seasons, or first season, and they actually made him, hey, I know you're not beingness, you're being controlled by this weirdo.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that she fights Santa is actually kind of funny. So
Isn't it like Robot Santa?
That's pretty.
no,
neat.
it's like actual Santa. Like
Oh, I'm thinking of Futurama. I don't know why. I just
But-
thought of Futurama.
just for the sake of just my sanity, as well as Rob Renzetti, who's an amazing director, because he also did Powerpuff Girls and Samurai Jack and Gravity Falls.
Oh, dang. Good lineup.
Don't watch this, because it complete, and he doesn't even consider this canon anyways. So
That's good.
yeah, and oh my god, have you seen this or no?
I've seen the show, but I don't know enough about the show to tell you any one episode's plot point, you know? I know enough about it that I could probably give you a little synopsis.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite shows of all time, and it sucks that this episode's this bad.
Damn.
Izzy,
I have never actually seen My Life as a Teenage Robot.
what?
I know you're probably really mad at me for that, but no, I never a lot.
And Izzy is no longer allowed to talk for the next 30 minutes.
That's funny. Dang.
You cannot say that to me. It's my favorite Nicktoon.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, I remember it being good. But I haven't watched it in a long, long time.
That's fair. At least you saw it. At
Yeah.
least you saw
I've
it.
seen an episode or two.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you.
We'll unmute him now. I just wanted to make fun of him.
See how Izzy's doing.
How was visiting Krampus?
It was nice, you know.
Moving on.
Yes.
Your
My
turn.
turn to pick three again?
Yes.
Alrighty. Well, I'll go ahead and
Damn.
do Arthur's Christmas.
Arthur Christmas.
Ooh, yeah.
So, I honestly, when I first heard about this, I was kind of shut off to the idea, because I was like, what? Like, not one consistent Santa. Like, I have to listen to this whiny stick dude become Santa. But then I watched it and I was like, okay, it's creative. I like it. I like how you have the different generations kind of butting heads on how to do things and stuff. And I like the kind of the military aspect of it, of getting the presents in the house, because, you know, logistically speaking, getting a present in every single house that has a kid in it would be a little hard. So, especially in the span of one night. So I like how they have just this massive UFO type ship that just, it's the elves putting the presents in the house instead of Santa, and Santa acts just more as a general. I thought that was creative. Mm-hmm. So all in all, I'd say this is a nice spin on a traditional story. I'd put it in the meh. I wouldn't say it was a classic, personally, but I'd say, I mean, I'd put it on for my kids if I had kids, or, you know, I don't hate it.
Okay.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, this one is made by Aardman Animation, the same people made Wallace and Gromit and Shaun the Sheep. So this was their second CGI film. Their first one was flushed away.
Yeah.
But, and I think I'm same thing with him. I think I would put this one in the meh, but for different reasons. I think this is probably one of Aardman's weaker movies, just because they're just such a good animation studio overall.
Yeah.
Because like I say, Wallace and Gromit, Shaun the Sheep, Chicken Run, like they have so many good both movies and even just shorts in their catalog. And I just think because it's CG, it just doesn't really have its full potential unlocked. But also, I think one thing that does kind of get annoying for me, actually, it's funny that you mentioned the military themed, because for some reason, like that, this isn't the only thing that did this. Because back in the late 2000s and early 2010s, there were a bunch of like just weird military themed stuff when it comes to like Christmas, and it was just a bit of a weird turn.
Yeah.
But because this wasn't the only one that did it, but I mean, whatever, it is what it is. Also, Grandpa Santa was kind of a...
You didn't like him?
Yeah, he was kind of selfish. But overall, though, it's fine. I mean, it is what it is. But... Izzy.
All right, so Arthur Christmas, I actually really like this movie. I do agree that it is like, especially compared to some of the other movies in Aardman's catalog, it is kind of one of the weaker ones. But I still really like it a lot. Kind of like what he was saying. I like watching you've got like the two different generations, the old and the new, kind of colliding, and they end up butting heads on how they think they should do things. I like the elves. They're basically just the minions, but if they were funny. And I really like it. I really like this interpretation of Santa Claus as well, where like it's a mantle that's like passed down from generation to generation rather than it just being the same guy. I thought that was a really interesting way to kind of interpret that story. The animation is really good. Actually, it's like one of my favorite aspects of the movie. But personally, I'd put this in passable.
All right, fair enough. I can't disagree. So
let's see. For my second one, I will do. Okay, so you're gonna have to help me out a little. So
okay,
I see two Mickey ones. Which one is the one where they have like the story with? Oh, I see three Mickey ones actually.
Yeah, it's
the one that has three different stories in it. It's Goofy and his kid.
Yeah, it's Once Upon a Time.
Okay, I'll do that one.
Okay. So this is our first actual. Okay, this is our second Disney one because Christmas Carol's Disney, but.
Okay, so what I'd say about this one, I'd say this one is meh or below average because, yeah, you guys can give your opinions.
Okay, you want to go first? He's got to do something.
Yeah, I'll go first. Excuse me. I can actually. Now you go first. I'm curious about your opinion, Dave.
Okay, so here's the thing. I think I like half of this, but I don't like the other half. Like, I think for me, this is an anthology film. Just to let you guys know, it was released in the year of our Lord. So yeah, this was released in late 1999. Which is pretty telling because this one is 2D. The sequel is CG. And I'm not gonna lie. This one, yeah, this is the anthology where they pretty much have three stories. They have the Dewey, Louie, and the other ones Huey, Dewey, Louie. Donald's nephews. They're kind of they basically have to learn not to be massive jerks around Christmas. And that's just sort of their whole thing. And then the next story is Max, who's from Goofy Movie, a underrated classic. Basically trying to him basically being based by thinking that Santa isn't real. And then the third one is basically Minnie and Mickey trying to figure out what gift they should give each other. And I'm not gonna lie, I somewhat cringed at the Donald / his nephews segment because it's like, really, like, whatever. Though I'm not gonna lie, and hot take for y'all, I don't care what any of y'all think, Max is a based character, and the fact that he went edgy in Goofy Movie, an extremely Goofy Movie, makes me really like him, even though he's probably representing corporate Disney, but I don't care. And just because of that, I liked the second story more. I think the one with Mickey and Minnie was just sort of like half good, half bad. So I'm going to put this one in the meh as a result. Because below average is below average. I think this one's more like a 5 out of 10, which is the meh.
Okay, so what I was going to say about it is... So, if I remember this correctly, there's the story where Goofy is trying to convince Max that Santa is real, and that's the whole thing.
But Max is based.
Yeah, so Max doesn't believe Santa.
Yes.
Okay, and then it ends off with seeing that Santa is real.
Burden of proof. At least it's not something that's like, oh, I believe in him, therefore he's real, and then he just randomly appears. No, they automatically don't.
Yeah.
Which is something that's different from Polar Express and You're Without a Santa Claus, but I digress.
Yeah, and then there's that other one with Mickey and Minnie where Mickey gives up his harmonica to get Minnie a gift, and she gives up what the gift was for to get him a harmonica case.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that one. And then the third one, isn't that one Donald Duck with the 3
Nephews.
nephews and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
That one I vaguely remember.
It's bad.
Yeah. But I'd put this in meh just because none of those stories are originals.
Yeah.
It's just basically putting new skins on classic stories, just like, oh, look, it's these classic stories you've heard of, but now it's Mickey.
Classic stories from the year of our Lord.
It's 1999!
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, nothing's in this stood out as particularly bad, because it's Disney, so I hold them to a standard. Like, animation was fine. Everything was fine, and, I mean, stories got their point across just fine, but the fact that they weren't original is why I'm putting it in meh.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you guys pretty much hit the nail on the head with this. I don't really have anything meaningful to add. Like, yeah, it's Disney. It's serviceable enough. It's good to just like put on if you're with your kids or whatever for Christmas and want something to distract them.
Yeah.
But like overall, there's not really anything of much substance to it. So yeah, I would also put it in meh.
Except for Max being base, but that's what his character is.
Man, I was gonna say Max in general is just well, I guess I can't really say that because he's underage. But if he was,
No, he's not, because he's 19 in an Extremely Goofy movie.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's fair. Okay, well in that case, no, I can simp for him all I want.
Oh my
Screw
God.
you.
That's nice.
Oh my God. Oh, hold on. It's fine.
Alrighty.
All right.
Okay.
I think you have.
I have one more because I picked. Maybe I have two.
You
more.
picked Arthur Christmas.
Yeah.
And
I picked Arthur's
yeah, you got 3.
Okay,
You
so
want
I
more.
have one more. Let's see. So I'll do. See, I'm recognizing less and less of these now.
Oh no.
So. Okay, so A Star Christmas. Isn't that just VeggieTales' version of A Christmas Carol?
Actually, no, it's not.
Okay, so I don't know that one then.
They never did a Christmas Carol version.
Really?
No.
Which is surprising, honestly.
Yeah, I checked. I checked the entire list.
Dude, Mandela effect, because I swear to God, I have seen a VeggieTales Christmas Carol.
I mean, this one is like Victorian era, which is like what.
Yeah, I might be thinking of that, but
Oh wait, no, they did. No, they did do their own version of A Christmas Carol, but it wasn't about Christmas. It was about Easter.
Oh,
It was actually, funnily enough, it was a direct sequel to this movie.
I didn't know. Well, let's.
I mean, do we want to
Weird.
talk about it, or I mean,
Nah, I'll do the classic Grinch.
all right. How did the Grinch Stole Christmas? The 1966 one, whatever.
Okay.
What's your hot take?
Well, I mean, this is a classic. It's gotta go impassable for the mere song that came out of this alone.
You're a mean one,
Yeah, I mean,
Mr. Grinch.
Mr. Grinch.
that song alone could go impassable, let alone the film.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's classic. It's classic. It's literally just the most accurate rendition from book to paper of this story there is. And you know what? Dr. Seuss knew what he was doing when he wrote that book. So I'm glad that they just let him do his thing, just in a new format with film and stuff. Because nothing needed change. Nothing needed changed. It's just a classic short story. And they just translate that to film and don't do anything else that isn't necessary.
All right, fair enough. Izzy.
Yeah, like, man, yeah, this is absolutely going impassable. It's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. What did you expect? It's a classic movie with a classic story. There's really, I don't have much to say that hasn't already been said already. It's a really great movie. If for some reason you haven't seen it yet, I think you should definitely go and check it out. It's definitely worth your time. But yeah, this was going firmly impassable.
Okay, so this is like undebatably the best Grinch.
Yeah.
Like, is that even a contest? Like, it's not. Because like
book to pay, book to screen.
Book to screen, yes.
Yeah.
But
man, what? Why?
let's just say that like I never really was the biggest Dr. Seuss fan.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, granted, the song is great.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even denying that. Like, I think that's definitely something that does hold, like, pretty much just hold a lot with people. I just don't think... okay. So, I'm trying to remember. Okay. I do like how the fact that they actually made the Grinch kind of, like, gross, but not too gross, but not, like, you know, too... Like, they made him just the right amount of, like, you know...
Yeah, icky.
Stingy, and especially in comparison to, like, what would come out later on in the 21st century.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know, this was just the one Dr. Seuss thing that... Well, okay, well, I just said I never really cared for Dr. Seuss, but this was just the one that I just never really, like... I just never really had any caring for.
Yeah.
Though, to be fair, like I said, it is definitely better than the freaking remakes that came out later. Like, because... I'm sorry, but I don't like the 2001. And we already talked about the 2018 version, and that how that one is just... But,
Yeah.
like, even just with the original, I just think there's just better specials.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how I
That's
feel.
fair.
It's just, like, it might be a classic, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best.
Yeah.
And I'm someone who looks for the best.
Yeah.
Is it really?
I mean, I'd say it's the best adaptation of the Grinch, like you said. I wouldn't say it's the best of Christmas.
And I think that's sort of just my point.
I would also say, though, I think it is the best of any of the classic Dr. Seuss adaptations, because there's also that Lorax one and the Cat in the Hat one that are also animated like this.
Well, I think the Lorax is probably better.
You think?
Yeah, I think that one is probably the better one. And that one
The
just has a
Lorax-
better message.
Wait,
Like, for-
are you seriously unironically saying
No, we're
that
talking about the freaking
Lorax
old
is-
one.
Oh, okay.
The ones from the 60s. What do you think we were talking about? The 2012
No,
one?
I'm saying.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, okay.
That one's bad. That one's
Yeah.
awful.
Okay, for a second, I thought you were genuinely unironically about to say that the 2012 Lorax was better than the original. How
No,
the Grinch
that
Stole
one's
Christmas. I was gonna teleport to your house and slap you.
That joke's on you. This ain't my house. And you don't know where I'm at, so...
It's funny. Yeah, but... Yeah. I'd say it's fair and meh. I think we need to rename these tiers.
No!
Because a lot of the stuff that is impassable is far more than just passable. Passable is a D.
What do you mean passable's a D?
If I get a D in school, I pass. That's passable.
This ain't... Dude, no. This is not the education system. This is not how this is ranked.
Well, yeah.
Normally
fair
we
enough.
would have S, A, B, C, D, F, but you also have to remember, I'm not a Christmas fan.
Yeah. Okay, but if I made myself a film and I was super proud of the film and everyone thought
Oh my god.
and everyone thought this movie was really good, and then they were like, "Oh, this movie's awesome. It's passable." I'd be like, "Passable? Like, what do you mean passable? This is the you know."
I don't
That's
care
how-
anymore. You can say it. This is we've been swearing and fucking shit like with the other tier lists. It's fine. I don't care
Yeah.
anymore. We already are going to hell anyways. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Also, we already had Izzy go talk to Krampus because he made the unholy decision of talking
Yeah.
trash.
Man. Well, that was my last pick. I think I might start getting ready because I still want to take a shower and stuff, and I work in the morning.
Okay,
But
fair
plus,
enough.
I don't even know anything else on this
Oh,
list.
I'm sorry.
honestly.
It's-
No, you're good. I mean, you're all good, but it was nice meeting you, Izzy.
Likewise. Thank
Good luck
you
with
for
the
joining
rest of
us.
this, guys. Good luck with the list, Ruth.
Likewise.
Let me know how it goes. I want to see the final list once you put it together.
Okay. I will just let you know, like, Actually, I'll talk to you about it after this. So,
All right. Sounds good.
all right.
See ya.
Thank you for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
How is he?
He seems nice. I like him.
He's pretty chill. That was the first, and there you go, ladies and gentlemen. It's the first time you actually saw my cousin, even though I've talked about him for like a couple of years now. So, but yeah, all right. Since it's the both of us now, we can choose 4. So you get to
Alrighty.
choose 4.
Alrighty. Well, okay. Gonna be completely one scundo with you. I may not actually be able to go with 4 because the amount of shows that I have actually seen, or like episodes and stuff that I've seen on this list, is getting very small.
Why did I bring you to this list then? Oh, I know why. Because I didn't want to be alone again.
Yeah, because you didn't want to be alone, and I wanted to help you out.
All right. Well, thank you for doing that. But,
Yeah, no problem.
All right, we can speed through these if you don't know.
Anyways, though, okay, so, but I will go ahead and pick the remaining ones that I do know.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll start off with the Star of Christmas.
All right.
So I know what your opinion on VeggieTales is. I actually really like VeggieTales. I think that even outside of the Christian messaging, it's a genuinely like clever and well-written show with a lot of good messages in it. And in fact, later on in the show, they start switching focus away from like all of the Christian messages and so straight towards having good morals in general, anyways. And so I really respected for that. The special, it's so basically the plot is there are these 2 guys played by Bob and Larry, who they want to put on this big spectacular Christmas show to like find the true meaning of Christmas or whatever. And they end up trying to steal the star from the top of a Christmas tree in this church, and they end up getting thrown in jail because of it. But no, yeah, I think it's just typical. It's pretty much the typical thing that you'd expect from VeggieTales. You know, lots of crazy, silly writing and kind of wacky, over the top kind of SpongeBob type humor. So if
Before
you like
SpongeBob.
VeggieTales, well, yeah, before SpongeBob, obviously, but I mean, if you like VeggieTales or if that kind of thing sounds like it'd be up your alley, then I definitely think you should check it out. I would put it in passable.
Okay, so I've already told you guys I'm pretty much an atheist. That's not even a secret anymore. I talked about it in most tier lists. That being said, when it comes to VeggieTales, I mean, this one's sort of a mixed bag because, like, there's actually kind of 2 exceptions to my rule when it comes to, like, Christian-related stuff. I already trashed freaking Little Drummer Boy and Nestor. Those are just bad. But with VeggieTales, it's sort of a double-edged sword. On one hand, yes, generally speaking, I do think that a lot of the more secular episodes are pretty good. Even if, like, the 2015 reboot was awful, but that's the point. But at the same time, once again, I hate just a lot of the more, like, Christian-oriented stuff. Now, granted, the guy who made the show, I feel like, is well-intentioned, but I just feel like some of the stuff that he was doing was kind of going overboard. But,
yeah. Like, Phil Vischer, he seems like a nice enough guy who really just wanted to teach kids about having good morals. And so, in fact, he wrote a book. It's called Me, Myself, and Bob.
I heard about that.
It's basically like it's sort of an autobiography for him and kind of his journey with starting Big Idea and then all of the events that eventually ended up leading to the lawsuit where he basically had all of his creations ripped from his arms and basically lost all creative rights to the show. But that's a story for another time.
Mm-hmm. Point being is that, like, while I do feel like his intentions are good, and like I said, I do respect him for at least what he wanted to achieve, I just feel like just the critic in me just feels like he was starting to steer it in a wrong direction, and unfortunately that resulted in a lot of stuff that happened later on. But point being, when it comes to VeggieTales itself, I mean, it's better than most, and I'll give it that. That's all I've got to say. That being said, I just did not care for this special, and I'm just gonna put this one at a below average because this one is it's basically just the theater stuff, and it's whatever. I just didn't really care.
Yeah, I feel that.
But that's all I gotta say. It's just I didn't really care for this one.
Yeah. All right. So next up, let's talk about Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas. So pretty much the same thing as Once Upon a Christmas. It's an anthology series. If I remember correctly, the first story is about Mickey trying to kind of similar to the first one, where Mickey is trying to figure out the kind of gift that he wants to get for Minnie.
I think that's
maybe?
actually later because there's 5 stories in this one. The first one is basically the whole ice ring thing, and then I think,
and then I know there's one with Donald where it's kind of like sort of like It's a Wonderful Life, but with Disney characters.
And then there's basically a retelling of the first thing with the first Once Upon a Christmas with Huey, Dewey, Louie.
Right.
And then. Sorry, what?
Oh, sorry, continue.
And then there's another one with Max where he's pretty much like in his 20s and he's being embarrassed by his dad. So.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I think this one is marginally better than Once Upon a Christmas. But I mean, it's still pretty much more of the same, just kind of bland, more just kind of a bland filler type movie. So I would also put this one in meh.
Well, I think this one's actually kind of marginally worse, if I'm going to be honest, because they decided to do CG with this one because this came out 5 years later. And granted, it's not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be from what I've seen with screenshots, because I don't think I've seen this. I think I might have seen this a couple times before, rewatching this past week. And while it's not nearly as bad as I thought, it still doesn't look great, especially for the time.
Yeah.
Also, that post-grunge soundtrack. Oh my god. This was the 2000s. Of course, they had to do that. And granted, they don't bring up like any bands. They just sort of have like a lot of like, you know, that sort of style of music. Like a lot of like pop mixed with like butt rock music, because it was that time period. And like especially for freaking Max's section, which I mean, to be fair, I'd say that one's still probably the best section, only because it's kind of relatable, but I'm not getting into that. Point being, I think this one is just slightly not as great. I'm gonna put this one in the below average as well, but
yeah,
that's just me at least.
Alrighty. So let me check the list again, see if there are any others that I can actually talk about. Here's a good. Let's talk about Shrek the Halls.
Oh god.
I effing hate this special. Absolute garbage right off the bat. Just not even worth your time. Not worth watching at all. It just Scared Shrekless is so much better. First of all, I'd much rather just be watching that. This is really just.
Well, I'm sorry I didn't watch it, so it's not on the list.
It basically just feels like kind of a much shorter version of Shrek 3, but also about Christmas. Not like in the story sense, but in the sense that like it's very loud, very annoying, very unfunny, like just outright painful to sit through most times. Like this is like one of the only times where having to sit through a special like this has physically hurt me. But no, this is absolute garbage. Just no redeeming qualities whatsoever.
So is this a
It's not good.
answer the question?
You know what? Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
The answer is yes.
Okay. I don't think this is nearly as bad as you said it is, but it's still for me definitely a.
It's not good.
Granted, I'm showing my bias again. out of all the DreamWorks franchises, like out of all of them, Shrek was just the one that I just never really cared for. Granted, I think Shrek 2 is actually probably the best Shrek movie. Like that's just a fact.
Oh yeah, no cap.
But like even like with Shrek 1, especially Shrek 3 and Shrek 4, I just never really cared. And this special just doesn't really help that case, so
Shrek 4 is an underrated classic, and anybody who says otherwise is wrong.
Oh, you're that type?
They'll be sent to the Shrek gulag.
I heard it's like basically not a Shrek film, and that's why people like it.
Nah, it's a Wonderful Life, but Shrek. It has nothing to do with Christmas, but that's basically what the plot is.
That's funny. But I don't know, just for Shrek the Halls, it's the only one I saw. I'm sorry I didn't see the donkey one. It's just I didn't know that was a thing. So
I mainly like Scared Shrekless mostly because it has probably the best Shrek pun to ever grace this planet, and that's the Shreksorcist.
oh my god.
I love it so much. But off topic again, sorry.
It's fine.
But,
we were already off topic multiple times in the stream. I don't even care.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to avoid the inevitable.
Mm-hmm. But all right, so for my final pick, actually there are only 2 more things on this list that I actually like know of and have seen. So is it okay if I get 2 more? Is that all right?
You can do that. I don't care.
All right. So first, we're going to talk about the Penguins Madagascar
Yes.
Christmas special. Yes, this one is going again. If there is a tier higher than passable, this would go like in the S+ tier. It's so good. It takes the best part of the Madagascar movies, which is the penguins, and just it gives them their own story. Basically, the whole plot is that Private ends up going missing, and so he ends up getting stuck in the old woman's house, the one who ends up kicking the shit out of Alex. In Grand Central Station. And so they have to sneak into her apartment and try to break him out. And oh my god, it's so hilarious. It's just an absolute riot to watch. Probably
Dude.
one of the funniest DreamWorks. It's one of the funniest holiday specials that DreamWorks has put out.
Dude.
And like that's not really saying much because overall DreamWorks holiday specials aren't great, but this one I actually do think is worth your time because it is hilarious.
Dude, they make freaking Rico chug eggnog and it's great.
Oh, yeah, there's a scene where like a Private is in the background and the other 3 they're sitting there just having Rico chug down all of this eggnog. Like, dude, I'm convinced
chug.
I'm convinced that Rico is a Time Lord and his stomach is just bigger on the inside.
Kowalski. But yeah, no, I agree. Honestly, anything involving the penguins I actually really like. Because they're just written so well because like they're basically like parody secret agent stuff for those who don't know if you've been living under a rock, and just the way that they do it I just think is really funny. And this is no exception. And I think are you starting to see a bit of a common pattern with me though when it comes to Christmas specials?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, I think I like all of the ones that just are not traditional Christmas specials. Like at all.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Because like, dude, like the regular show special is great, and that one just completely changed up Santa and all that stuff. It's not a musical. Nightmare Before Christmas, I mean, it's literally just a hybrid movie. And then just with this one, it's just a really funny adventure where the penguins just have to save Private, and it's great. So I think that's pretty much the common pattern. I like more action oriented ones like specials, and I like ones that just are completely outside the box. So that's just me at least. So, but yeah, no.
All right,
this one's great.
Yeah. All right, and so for my final pick, we're gonna talk about The Snowman. So this one is actually probably, if it weren't for this one is absolutely my favorite special that's on this list. So for those of you who don't know, it's an animated movie. It's a silent film
from the 80s.
So most of the story, from the 80s, and most of the story is told just through through visuals and through music. And I am a huge sucker for movies and stories like that. That's like one of my favorite methods of storytelling, because it forces you to kind of go with that less is more aspect and kind of be more subtle with the movements of the characters and their body language and whatnot in order to tell a coherent story. But no, basically the whole premise is that this kid, he falls asleep on a Christmas Eve and has a dream that he goes on this magical adventure with the snowman. But the animation is absolutely breathtaking. It's probably one of the best animated things that are on this list, honestly. The music is absolutely phenomenal. The soundtrack, it's like one of the only movie soundtracks that's actually made me cry before, which is really saying a lot, because I'm normally don't really get emotional over that kind of stuff, but it's so beautiful. I could sit here and gush about this movie for hours, but I'm not going to. This one's going right up and passable, no doubt.
Yeah, this was a film from 1981, I'm pretty sure. Or, no, 82. 82. And a lot of people don't really know about this one, which is... It's not... Okay, that's not too surprising because it was more popular in Europe and Canada. But it did still air in the United States, therefore it does qualify for the list anyways. And while yes, I can definitely appreciate just the whole show don't tell thing, which yes is definitely like one of the best ways to tell a story. I mean, one of my favorite anime movies is WALL-E, and it completely does that for 2/3 of the film. That being said, though, Izzy, you're gonna kill me for this one. The animation, while yes, like it's definitely unique, especially for the time, because a lot of it looks more hand drawn. I think it just looks okay.
Okay, so Dave, my hands are roughly about 6 inches in diameter. How wide is your neck? No, I'm kidding. But
12 inches.
All right.
All right, Izzy's getting muted again.
No.
Have fun with Krampus. Okay, but generally speaking, though, I'm not gonna lie though. I don't know, it's fun. Like, okay, it's not that it looks bad. I just think it just looks competent for the time. Like, I don't think it's anything that's like breathtaking. So in that respect, I'm gonna put this one at a meh, which does not mean bad. Literally every other tier below average, not good, and absolute garbage, that is under the negative feelings. I just don't really have any particular feelings for this one, probably because I didn't really grow up with this one, which I mean, if you like this one, that at the end of the day is fine. Because like it is what it is. But to me, at the very... Oh, to be fair, this is the best snowman... this is the best snowman-related thing on this tier list. Like, it's better than Frosty Returns by a freaking mile. But, like... I don't know. I just don't really like snowman stories all that much. I just find it to be a bit too... I don't want to say generic, but it just feels a bit... not outside the box, you know? Because, like, snowmen are not that unique. Like, there's so many, like, stories that feature snowman that it just doesn't feel the most unique. And I know there's going to be some people, it's like, oh, but it's told in a different way. Yeah, but, like, it's still a template that I don't like. It's kind of like how I don't like Last of Us, even though it's told from a different story. Like, it's told from a different perspective. It's still a zombie story at the end of the day. It's the same reason why I don't really think that... It's the same reason why I just don't particularly, like, hold this one for me personally. But it is what it is. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna start choosing one. After this, I'll unmute Izzy. Hopefully, he's having fun with Krampus. But let's talk about. Okay, let's just get the Christmas ones out of the way. Mickey's Christmas Carol. This is. I think this is the technically the chronologically the first Disney related Christmas thing on here. I'm gonna put this one at a meh. It's just a fine retelling of Christmas Carol. I actually do think that this one's a bit more unique because this one is slightly parodying it, which I mean, to be fair, it is just a Disney retelling of, a retelling of Christmas Carol with Disney characters. So obviously they're going to at least change it up a little bit. But I just think that this one, I mean, it's fine, granted, it is a bit weird that they just use, just classic Disney characters as, placeholders for named characters. Though it is interesting to see that Scrooge McDuck is in this as actual Scrooge. And I guess this is sort of how you can say his background. You can pretty much say that this is pretty much his background story or whatever. Which is kind of interesting in that respect. But other than that, it's fine. It is what it is. So, alright, let's see how Izzy is doing.
Oh, Krampus, you taste so good. Oh.
Okay, you are on timeout for the next 30 minutes in legit. Are you gonna behave again?
Yes, I'll behave. I'm sorry.
How do you feel about Mickey's Christmas Carol?
I've never seen it. After the snowman, that's like all of the everything after that is stuff that I still haven't seen yet. So.
I'm actually a little bit surprised about that one though. A little bit?
Yeah?
To be fair, it's from the 80s. Who cares about the 80s? 80s suck. Anyways.
Alright, but since I haven't seen any of these other shows, I'm going to go get some food for myself while Dave talks. I'll be right back.
Okay. Don't get caught again. Alright, so while he does that, I'm going to talk about... Ooh, what should I talk about? I'll just skim through some of these. Okay, so, or at least just the ones that I just didn't really have feelings for. Okay, we'll just do the rest of the Christmas Carol ones because there's quite a few of them. All right, so we got Mr. McGee's Christmas Carol. This is actually chronologically the first animated Christmas related thing on this list. This came out in 1961. If I'm not mistaken. So making this the first, or at least one of the earliest animated Christmas specials. I know there were technically music videos that came out in the late 40s and early 50s, but I didn't really want to count them because they weren't. Television didn't really exist back then, and also that's getting into deep territory for me because I don't really care for stuff. I don't even really care for stuff from before the freaking 90s, if I'm going to be honest. But my limit is mostly just between from before the 70s. Making this, I forgot to say, the first tier list where we go beyond our borders. So interesting, but that's besides the point. Or our boundaries when it comes to media, but whatever. Since the first tier list, but that's besides the point. Point being is that this one, for being the first one, for being technically amongst one of the first animated Christmas specials, it's whatever. It's fine. I don't I can't put it lower because you can't rank something that's the first badly, but you can't at the same time rank it great because of just how dated it is. And I doubt that anyone really knows about this version of Christmas Carol anyways, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, Brody, he what his favorite movie, his favorite thing is Scrooge, which is from the 50s. So there you go. But whatever. All right. Well, after that came a 1972 version of Christmas Carol, made by the same people who made. Oh, what did they make? Crap, I forgot. Oh, literally the guy who did Looney Tunes. I'm pretty sure, which is really weird. He did a bunch of the classic Looney Tunes episodes from the 50s and 60s. That being said, there's really not that much I gotta really say about this. I mean, the animation looks really weird. It's so choppy. This was a British made for an American audience based episode, and it was just a really weird version of Christmas Carol. Dude, I had to go on some freaking sketchy website to find this too. Like, this is so hard to find. I'm actually surprised I found this, but like, it's really not worth your time nowadays. It just looks messy and really dated, even for the early 70s. This just looks like really bad animation. I think what makes this one weirder is just the fact that like it is hand drawn, but the thing about it is that like they try to make all the characters somewhat photorealistic, but once again the technology just wasn't there yet. And it just looks so bizarre for the time. And honestly, I wouldn't recommend this even if you could try to find this, because it's just not that fun to watch. Like, I was so confused. This is borderline on the not good tier too. So like, yeah. But regardless, I think we have one more. We have one more Christmas Carol. Funny enough, speaking of Looney Tunes. Bah Humbug, a Christmas Carol retelling by Looney Tunes characters, but instead it takes place in a modern setting, and Bugs Bunny is pretty much the narrator for half the film and doesn't really reappear again. And I have to be quite frank with this one. This one is
It's not good.
Not good. This one's bad. Don't watch this. Like, it's not funny. It's not... Like, the animation quality for the time was okay, but like you can tell that they were trying to set up for freaking lunatics to come out, that really awful superhero retelling of Looney Tunes. Yeah, you can definitely tell that they were just phoning this one in so that they can push that out the door, because this, like, the writing is just not funny, jokes aren't funny, animation's just okay for the time, and it's just not that memorable. It's just weird because I remember whenever this first aired on Cartoon Network, like, it's just because once again I'm a 2000s kid, but that's besides the point. Point being is that this was not very good, and I don't recommend it. Excuse me, but yeah, whatever. I don't think this was all that great, personally. Hate me all you want, but I don't care. Actually, speaking... Yeah, I think I'm just going to be looking at all the retellings from now on, because I actually want to end on a positive note. So let's put these over here. Okay. I am going to wait for him for that one. There. Hey, you're back.
Dave, I'm back. I just need to pee, and then I'll be back for real.
Oh my god!
I'm sorry, I can't control my bladder, David.
Don't call me David. That's, like, rude. Anyways, okay, so... Alright, let's talk about Tom and Jerry. Nutcracker Story. So this, I also remember coming out around this time, 2007, and this might sound weird, but there's actually not a lot of Nutcracker-related animated stuff out there, let alone any, like, really good ones. There was one that came out in the year of our Lord, but I couldn't find it anywhere. Like, oh my god, like, though I do know that, oh my god, what's his face was in that film, which was kind of funny. But like, I don't know. There was also one from 1990, but I couldn't find that one either. And I didn't want to talk about the Barbie early 2000s one, so no. So yeah, we're stuck with this version of the Nutcracker, Tom and Jerry. Oh, Izzy is returned.
I'm here. I'm just untangling all of these cords.
All right, so I'm on Tom and Jerry Nutcracker. So, oh, he can't hear me. Dang.
I heard the Nutcracker.
Tom and Jerry Nutcracker.
I have not seen it.
Yeah, I was basically just saying that, like, surprisingly, there's actually not that many animated Nutcracker tales. There was a couple from the 90s, but I couldn't find them. So, and they also look bad.
I was never really all that into Tom and Jerry. Like, to be fair,
Same!
I haven't really watched very much of it, so like that's not really indicative of the quality of the show for me. It's just that I don't really have that same connection with it that a lot of other people do, just because I didn't really grow up watching it very much, you know?
Fair enough, because I'm just going to say this right now. It's just a bunch of slapstick humor, or like most Tom and Jerry stuff. This one's actually a bit unique because they tone it down quite a bit, actually.
I know there's an episode where it's implied that Tom and Jerry killed themselves.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but that's from like the 40s, and that's a different story. Also, that's from before our time. Anyways, with this one, like they tone it down, and they try to introduce like one-off characters. Like there's this ornament character, and there's like this horse toy character, because like you know the story of the Nutcracker where they like have the characters like they turn into like, well, Tom, Jerry, and the little other mouse character. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, isn't he supposed to be like Jerry's son or something?
I don't freaking know. Basically, they basically go into a they basically go into a theater where they're like doing like a play for the Nutcracker, except it magically turns into like a Nutcracker story. And they mostly focus on like the first act of the Nutcracker story, because that's like all that everyone just cares about anyways. So but instead of like rats, it's obviously the cats, so like Tom and a bunch of his posse.
Yeah.
And this is probably one of the better Tom and Jerry things. I'm not a really big fan of Tom and Jerry. It's the same reasons why I don't really care for Scooby-Doo. It's so oversaturated, and it's just the same thing over and over again. This does have the benefit of it being a little bit different. And thankfully, this is not like the more recent Tom and Jerry crossovers, like where they just put characters between. No, like they actually just try to do a full-on, just their own version of this.
Yeah.
But like, I'm still gonna put this one at a meh, because it's just average. It just exists. But it's more tolerable than most Tom and Jerry stuff for me, though. That's definitely for sure. So, oh, by the way, just to let you know, I went through all the other Christmas carols. I went through the Mr. McGee's, I went through the 1971, and I went through Bah Humbug, which is the Looney Tunes one.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'm surprised you didn't include the Muppets one on here.
It doesn't count. It has people in it.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
So, but yeah. Actually, speaking of things that used to have people, you like Elf, right? Like the movie Elf?
The Will Ferrell movie?
Yes.
Not particularly.
Oh, okay. Well, you kind of ruined the joke for me.
I mean, it's a fine movie. I just got kind of sick of it because my mom is like obsessed with that movie, and so I just kind of got sick of it after a while.
Well, you just got canceled by a bunch of people. But anyways, so everyone knows about that movie. It's from 2003. Like, it was one of the biggest live-action movies ever, right? So Then they decided to make a musical in 2010 based off of it, and it was relatively successful.
Huh.
Then in 2014, they thought it was a good idea to make an animated version of the musical based off the movie.
Wait, so it's a movie that's based on a musical.
Yes.
That's based on a movie.
Yes.
Wow.
It's
That's
based off Inception. But okay.
That's wow.
Dude, okay, I have to be real with you guys. This movie, it was
I
actually...
need every last drop of this.
Dude, this movie was really painful. Like, dude, usually it takes me a while to, like, fully cringe at something. Dude,
It's caramel flavored.
dude, this took me not even 30 seconds before I started just...
Just like visibly cringing.
Yes, because you might... Okay, I know both of y'all said that grandma got ran over by a reindeer is probably the worst. Honestly, I think this is way worse. This was bad. This was really bad. Because,
I
like...
understand that.
Because here's the thing with this one. At first, it does look like it's using stop motion, but it's actually not. It's CG that's made to emulate looking like it is stop motion, similar to the Lego movie. Excuse me. And there are moments where you can tell it actually is CG, like once you start looking at like some of the models. But
Yeah.
oh my god. Okay. Yeah, I have to say it. This one is definitely
Not good.
it's garbage. This one's bad. Like, yeah, they made it, like I said, they tried to basically make it more in line with the musical, but there is a problem. You want to know the problem?
What's the problem?
No one can sing in this film. Also, they brought the guy they brought the guy who played Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory to play as Buddy the Elf.
Ooh.
And he sang.
Ooh.
I heard that man sing. It was not good. It was
Not good.
not good. It was bad. Like
Oh, that sounds awful.
it's oh my, like seriously, like say what you want about grandma over by a reindeer. At least they didn't sing too many, like at least they only sang like once. Yeah. I think you can understand my pain now.
Yeah, I definitely fully understand your pain, Dave.
So, dude, you know what's actually shocking about this though? This got decent reviews when it came out. Like,
Did it really?
hold on, I swear it got like at least like a 68 on Rotten Tomatoes. I swear to God. I'm looking this up because I'm genuinely shocked. Oh, okay, that's a bit lower on the audience score. It's a 41%, but it's 89% from the critic reviews? What are you smoking? This is bad. This is really bad. And I'm not even the biggest fan of, like, Elf, because I just think that movie, like, with you, I do think it's slightly overrated. But at least the comedy worked because of just how surreal it was for the time. And
Healing the world with comedy. Oh, sorry.
but like, I don't know. It's just, sorry, I just don't really know what else to say. Like, it just, all it is just really bad singing, and basically them trying to do like a Rankin Bass style of the Elf movie. They even made it like rated PG. This is not a PG-13 film. Like, this is like, yeah. So
That's really bad.
yeah, no, it's bad. Don't watch it. Animation's trash too. It looks really awful, and you can barely tell that it's the characters that they're trying to represent. So
Got some beef stew here.
So yeah, no, don't watch this. This is probably the worst on the tier list. It's bad. Don't want, like, no. So, and you thought that Ralph Breaks the Internet was bad from last night. No.
Oh, wow. Dude, it's like my mind is expanded every day to more and more just absolutely terrible pieces of media.
I know.
I hate it.
It's bad. Let's
But yeah,
let's clean our minds let's clear our minds with an actually good film.
Fun fact for the viewers, though, I made Dave watch Ralph Breaks the Internet last
You
night.
didn't make me. We chose together.
I basically had to. He wanted to watch both, but I was like, nah.
We had to
Ralph
do.
Breaks the Internet.
You're okay. You're ruining the magic here. That's for another time. Anyways, let's cleanse our minds with an actually good movie. Klaus.
Yes. Okay, God. I really want to talk about this movie so bad because I've heard it's really good, but I
It
haven't
is?
seen it yet, and I feel really bad about it.
Okay.
Like I have no excuse for not having seen it. I just never really got around to it.
Okay, I'm not gonna spoil it for you. Even though I should.
I
What?
honestly could care. I could care less about spoilers.
Well, I'm not gonna do
honestly.
it because just for you. But I'm gonna put this one at passable. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm not gonna lie, and this is gonna sound weird, but I kind of see this as like this is gonna sound weird for some people, but I kind of see this as like a really interesting remake of Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Even though that's not what it's meant to be, a lot of the same beats that they put in this movie are very similar to that of the 1970 film. And it's actually kind of interesting. Because basically the whole story is you got this this guy, like this rich dude whose father owns like a mailing company, and he's sent all the way up north to a town where he has to basically get enough letters in order to get back to his place. Otherwise he'll basically be banished from his father or whatever. And this is like a really rugged town or whatever, and like you can't have fun or anything like that. And eventually, you know, the titular character Klaus comes in later on, and that's all I will leave it for there. But I think it's actually one of the more interesting films. It's made by the studio called Spa, which is a Spanish studio. It's actually funny because the guy who
Interesting name for a studio.
well, the thing is that the guy who formed the studio apparently also worked on the first Despicable Me, but actually had a brain cell and decided to leave that freaking Illumination studio from his own studio because he knew what was going on.
Listen,
So-
okay, I think the first Despicable Me movie is perfectly fine.
Well, I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying he knew what was going on by the time that they were making Despicable Me 2, and then he was like,
yeah. He was like, the ship is sinking faster than I can pour the water off. I gotta get out of here.
So yeah, and good for him too, because he made one of the most beautiful looking movies I've seen in the past couple of years. Like I just saw this this past weekend, and it's pretty good. The main character, I forgot his name. He kind of reminds me of Cusco from Emperor's New Groove. Which is funny because it sounds. At first, I thought it was voiced by that same guy, but no, it's not. It's someone else. But
Yeah, just a David Spade sound alike.
yeah. But I don't know. I definitely recommend this though. Like, granted, is it better than the 1970 film? I mean, it's up to you. But I think in terms of like a more modernized version of a retelling of the Santa Claus origin, I mean, it's pretty good. So I hope the studio goes out to make greater things, because this is at least a good one. So
Yeah.
and also proves that 2D animation can actually work for movies still. So don't let Disney tell you otherwise. But speaking of Disney, let's talk about another elf secret agent military themed thing. So did you ever pay attention to ABC Family? Like
Not
that?
really.
Okay, I don't blame you. So I unfortunately was one of those people who was. and I was exposed to basically this like mini series of shorts that came out between 2009 and 2011 called Prep and Landing. Basically the whole premise is we've got like basically a bunch of elves who come into every single house or whatever, like, and they basically just try to make it prepared for Santa to land, thus the name Prep and Landing or whatever.
Right.
And it's like, okay, this one's kind of like a slight exception to the rule of like, oh, only like one episode or whatever, because it's really just 3, but they all are pretty much just the same thing, and it's below average. Despite the premise, is so boring. Like, all they do is just either sit and talk, or they just do really stupid like things involving like a kid or whatever, and it just dragged on. And you know what? Like, each of these episodes are like 20 minutes long each, which made it even worse. Because I mean, granted, it's better to have something that's short than like something that's actually like 2 hours long and really drag and boring. But like, is he? It was bad. It was not okay. It's not in the not good category because at least it was an interesting premise. But unfortunately, it was yet another thing from the late 2000s and early 2010s of basically, hey, Christmas but military, like Arthur Christmas. So at least Arthur Christmas was more tolerable though. But whatever. But yeah, that's a thing. You know what?
What's up?
Let's talk about... Oh, actually, no. I want to save that one for last. We want to talk about another really bad one.
Let's do it. Go for it.
Hey, I have one question for you. Izzy?
Hmm.
Do you know where did we come from?
We come from the Mars.
We come from the mares.
We come from the mares.
Yeah. Okay. So I disqualified Rhapsody Street Kids from being on the list because I mean that one's just objectively awful. But have you ever heard?
I still think that that's a personal affront, but
Okay, you're getting muted again. But okay, I'm gonna ask you, the audience, this question then. Have you ever heard of the Christmas tree? Yeah, I mean, have you? What is a Christmas tree? You're probably wondering, right? Like, I mean, it's just some like, I don't know, some weird pagan thing that the Vikings did back in the day, right? This is...
It's not good.
It's bad. I have to be real with you guys on this one. I was not exposed to this except for watching a couple of YouTubers talk about it. And I kind of wanted to see this one for myself. Because this came out in the early 90s. 91 if I'm not mistaken, which that means this thing is 30 years old. Oh my god. That's awful. But there's a couple of problems with this film. 1, the animation looks awful. 2, the story and the dialogue is pretty cringy and pretty bad. 3, a lot of editing errors. As in, like, reusing assets and completely just misplacing characters that aren't even supposed to be there in a scene. And 4th,
just the audio quality is also just dead on arrival. You can barely understand what any of these characters are saying. Now, granted, I wouldn't be nearly this like harsh on, something like this coming out. But this is like what, the 30th freaking Christmas special to come out in terms of the chronology of this tier list. And this is also the early freaking 1991, the same year that brought us freaking Rugrats, Ren and Snippy, and Doug. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of Doug, literally, all those are better than this crap. And those all were shows from from people who were first working on the job. So there's no excuse. And guess what? This studio paid the price for it because they went out of business soon after this, and it's for a good reason. Not to mention the person who worked on this, the director, only worked on, I think, one other thing, and kablooey, gone. So don't watch this. This is bad. It's awful. All right.
Hi, Vilcus.
Who the hell are you talking to?
I'm playing Skyrim.
Oh my god.
I've been playing Skyrim while we've been talking about all of these movies and whatnot.
Of course you were.
And I'm playing through the companion quest line.
I thought you hated Skyrim.
I do, but okay, well, I don't hate the game. I just think that it's the worst in the Elder Scrolls series, and I'd much rather be playing Oblivion. But sometimes I kind of just get a hankering for it. But anyways, I'm at the very beginning of the companion quest line where you have to fight with Vilcus. And I installed a mod that gives you a giant club outside of Whiterun when you first get there. And it launches enemies way up into the air, just like the actual giant club does with you. And so Vilcus, he's like, here, take a few swings at me. Don't worry, I can take it. And I hit him with the giant club, and he just goes, boing.
We got really off topic on this freaking stream, didn't we?
No, I'm sorry. I was just trying to explain what
it's
I was laughing
fine.
at.
I mean, I literally just cringed at talking about one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. You've heard about the Christmas tree, right?
No.
That's a good thing. Don't watch it. This is awful. So, anyways. Unfortunately, apparently you have heard of it, but apparently, you didn't finish it. Babes in Toyland.
Yeah, so I know this movie not well enough to,
somehow.
I know this, not well enough to give it a ranking because I never actually finished it, but I remember I used to have it on VHS, and I started watching it with my mom, and I grew up in a very, very traditional fundamentalist Christian household. And so I got maybe 30 minutes into it, and then my mom wouldn't let me finish it because she was like, "Oh no, it's witchcraft and it's magic and it's evil, Israel." That's what she sounded like, word for word. But so I mean, the 30 minutes that I saw seemed okay. I don't remember any of it. Okay, so I remember the villain actually having somewhat kind of a catchy song. It was stuck in my head for a while after I listened to it. But yeah, that's really all I can say about this movie.
Okay, so this movie is kind of weird because it looks like a Don Bluth film, but it's not. Which is surprising. Because it just has that same sort of style, you know. That being said, okay, the people who made this film, sorry, I'm trying to look it up. They made a couple of other films before. I just don't remember, or they worked on other shows or whatever. This was their first major thing. No, I'm not looking for freaking Keanu Reeves version. I'm looking for the 1997 version.
They made The Monolith That Fell on My Finger.
1997. What this guy work on? Oh yeah, he worked on the Smurfs in the original Alvin and the Chipmunks series. Well, not the original, the one from the 80s.
Oh, well, okay. Well, that one's actually pretty good. Never mind.
So, oh, that explains it. Oh, it's Don Bluth's brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
That being said, so Dave,
What?
you're probably gonna be kind of mad.
Please
but
don't. I swear to God.
I actually am gonna have to dip because I'm being told that apparently I also have things I need to get ready for tomorrow. We're gonna be going over to one of my other family's houses like really early in the fucking morning.
Well, can we do this like real quick, please? Or
I mean, we can if you want. I just let's see, what time is it? 10:14. Yeah, we got time. We can. I just don't want to force you to have to rush your stream for my sake.
well, it's fine. It's just like you haven't seen much of these anyways, so
Right.
I'm gonna be really quick with this. So
knock yourself out.
okay. Anyways, Babes in Toyland. Freaking Fantano. Pull it up.
It's not good.
I didn't care for this.
Not good.
Because like it just felt too derivative of other films. It's cool that it's directed by Don Bluth's brother, because like that's kind of cool and all that stuff.
That's a neat little trivia
And
fact.
good for him. I just thought this movie was just way too creepy for its own good, like in terms of its animation. But whatever, it is what it is.
Yeah, I do remember parts of it being kind of spooky.
Yeah. All right. Johnny Bravo Christmas. Passable. Honestly, anything Johnny
Never
Bravo
seen Johnny
related.
Bravo either.
What?
Never seen Johnny Bravo either.
Okay, now you can fucking leave. Get out of here. Okay. Yeah, we're doing this on our own from now on, even though this freaking thing is hopefully not gonna freaking do. Okay, there we go.
I love you, Sly Army.
Actually, you can stay in the call. Just mute yourself. I think that'd be better because I don't want to mess with the camera.
Okay.
All right. All right. Yeah, Johnny Bravo. Great episode. Just really funny with my God, I can't remember his name, but generally speaking, just Johnny has to deliver letters to the North Pole. Finds out that it's from his mom, and it's just a wholesome, great experience. And quite frankly, I think it's pretty enjoyable. So definitely do recommend. Camp Lazlo's Camp Kringles. I hate to do this to you, but
It's not good.
it's bad. It has not aged well. Got freaking Tom Kenny try to do a Santa Claus impression. You can definitely tell it's him, and it's pretty bad. Also, just really boring for the most part. Nothing really happens except they're just doing camp stuff. Granted, I've kind of just, not really looked at the series well anymore, but it is what it is. Though I will say, the one best part is that Godfather parody that they did with, oh my God, I can't remember his name, but really just half the camp, and that was pretty great, and I loved that, and I do recommend it for just that portion, but other than that, it's whatever. Sorry. Okay, I was gonna go more in depth with this, but there's this series of movies called Nico. These were really weird because they came out in the late 2000s and early 2010s. Once again, trying to be more militaristic thing or whatever. It's just another retelling of Rudolph, except you can't fly at the beginning until wait, he can. It's really The first film, which was a theatrical release, if I'm not mistaken, but it's
Not good.
not good. Animation for the late 2000s started to look flat. Granted, I know this was a Finnish studio that did this, and good job for them. But dude, this animation just did not look great. It also just looked way too much like Ice Age, which confused the hell out of me. It doesn't really help either because the sequel is also
It's not good.
except it's a little bit worse. Granted, I'd say out of all of the absolute garbage, it's I'd say it's probably the best, but that's not saying much because, I mean, all these other movies are bad, so yeah. It's just a similar story, except granted, I didn't cringe as fast as I did with Elf, but I still cringed really fast in the first, 15 minutes, which is not good in my tier. So, freaking, the 2000 version of A Life of Adventures of Santa Claus, I'm surprised. This one is a bit of a hidden gem. I think it's actually better than the Rankin Bass one. Please don't kill me. And it's actually made by the people who made Code Lyoko, which pretty much shows, though I think my biggest problem is just the fact that a lot of the side characters, granted they weren't annoying, but they just kind of felt like they were just pushed to the side. But if this was playing in the background, I wouldn't be too mad, if I'm gonna be honest. It's fine. Billy and Mandy saves Christmas. More like they completely dumped on Christmas, because I mean, half of this is actually fine, but just the whole idea of Santa's a vampire now, it's just dumb. Granted, I know it's Billy and Mandy, but this is just one of their worst episodes as well. I didn't really laugh. I thought that the whole idea about Santa and the elves being vampires, I thought was kind of cringe. Though I did like the mall scene, that was kind of funny. But everything just kind of fell downhill after that. Even the whole interaction with that cleaning vampire guy, it was meh. Not even Billy, Mandy, and even Grimm had good lines. So, disappointing. Man, God, you can't do that. Actually, speaking of Doug, I forgot to mention this. Doug had a Christmas special. I think I mentioned this before, but oh my god, this one is really, really, really
Not good.
because with this one, it's just so mean-spirited near the end. Because the whole point is that, granted, this one borderline counts as Christmas. It's kind of like with Die Hard, where it's Christmas themed, but I just had to include it. But basically, with this one, Doug's dog bites what's her face, and that results in him not only getting put to the pound, but on a full-on trial to basically get him. And that is just so shitty. Oh my god, this is one of the most. This episode pissed me off. Quite frankly. Granted, I think the one thing that this did right was just the fact that it showcased, news media is willing to misconstrue the facts for their own benefit. But unfortunately, I think they just hammered on so hard to the point where it just felt like everyone in this town was being a douchebag to Doug's dog, and I just hated that so much. And that was the whole thing throughout most of the freaking episode. And I think it just proves my point that most people consider this to be one of the worst Doug episodes. So, there's that. Alright, I think we're running out of, not good episodes, so, okay, God, I can't see. Okay. Justice League. God, I can't even read that name. But yeah, their Christmas special. I'm sorry. Some people are going to be pissed off with me on this one, but I just thought this one was really boring. Granted, I never grew up with Justice League. I know Dylan did. I know we talked about it on the Cartoon Network thing. Once again, it was just right. I just barely missed it as a kid. But that's besides the point. Point being is that, I just never cared. But with this particular episode, I get the whole idea, basically just, heroes and villains can have a break or whatever and be holly jolly and all that stuff, but they just did it in such a boring and just uninteresting way. And I'm sorry, I said, I like my whole wholesome moments in cartoons, but this one was just a drag, and I just didn't care. I know I got a bunch of pitchforks in front of me, especially freaking Dylan, but at this point, I don't care. I'm sorry. I didn't want to bother. But, whatever. What's New Scooby-Doo? Scooby-Doo Christmas. I know there was the 2012 one, but I didn't see that. I saw this one. Actually, this is the first What's New Scooby-Doo episode I ever saw. This one, it's Scooby-Doo. You know my opinions on Scooby-Doo. I'm not gonna go over it. It's just the same thing. All right. Ooh. Okay. All right. Charlie Brown Christmas. Let's talk about this. Actually, I'm surprised we haven't got to this one. Some people are gonna be pissed off with me about Charlie Brown Christmas. Meh. I think this is one of the earliest Charlie Brown episodes, or whatever, or one of the earliest Charlie Brown specials, I should say. And while it's not bad, like, I don't think it's really just necessarily awful, I just never cared for Peanuts or anything related to Charlie Brown. It just never interested me, personally. Granted, you know, the whole story of, like, oh, we have to get a Christmas tree for our show, and we can't afford to get one of the bigger trees. You know, it's a pretty wholesome story. Though they do kind of treat Charlie Brown like, yeah, I don't know. Just anything involving whenever kids absolutely treat someone like human garbage, I absolutely despise. And that's something that I think I don't really care for. Granted, I put this at the meh because at least the whole story itself held it up, but at the same time, the whole thing where Linus just was like telling about the whole thing from the Bible, I don't know. I just never resonated with this special as many people did. Don't hate me though. All right. Okay, here we go. Ben 10, Merry Christmas. Below average. I like Ben 10. I like the original series, but this one was just a bit far-fetched. Basically, the whole idea is that they are in a Christmas town in the middle of Death Valley in California, where instead of Santa being real, which is based, an elf guy, like basically an old guy who's basically immortal, is the one who's actually giving out the gifts. He's not Santa, though, but yeah. And he's a villain, but he's not, but he is, but he's not, and it's weird, and there's just so many plot holes and just weird inconsistencies that I just don't like. They don't granted, I guess you can make the argument, oh, they never explain the whole reasoning why everything's going on, but like, it's just a massive plot hole for something like this, considering that, you know, it's mostly aliens that are dealing with that stuff in Ben 10, but whatever. This episode, I'd say, is also another one of just the worsts. But whatever. Ed and Andy, Jingle Jingle Jangle. Granted, I was a bit kind when it came to Ed and Eddie when we talked about it last year, but when it comes to this episode, it's
not good.
It's bad. This is not aged particularly well. Just the fact that there's just a lot of just weird. This is just another mean-spirited episode. Granted, I mean, Eddie was never particularly one of my favorite characters. As a matter of fact, I'd say he's one of the least likable characters in any cartoon I've ever seen as a kid. But just, everyone is just so stingy in this episode. Like, obviously, the sisters, they're obviously just, I mean, I don't know, just, I remember when this first came out, and I just consumed it as like a kid back then, but just looking at it now, this is not aged well, like at all. But it is what it is. Alright, oh, okay, the Chowder special, Wish You Merry Kanishmas. This one would have been impassable because I think I've actually grown on Chowder recently, but I'm gonna put this one at a meh because I think this is an example of an episode that people do point to say, oh, Chowder's bad, even though it's not a bad episode. It's just kind of whatever. Basic little premise is Chowder wants to get like a pair of like basically scissors, and they have to make a gingerbread house before their version of Santa is like, oh, I don't like your gingerbread house, therefore you're not getting gifts, you're getting coal. And I guess just the thing that does kill it for me is the fact that, like, Mung does basically get proven wrong and he just gives up, which is just not his character. Granted, I don't think this is, like, the worst example of a character assassination, but it just... I don't know. I just didn't really care for that. So... Though I do like the whole creative aspect of making Kris Kringle a giant caterpillar thing. It's weird, but whatever. It is Chowder. Everything about Chowder is weird. Alright, then we've got Phineas and Ferb Christmas Vacation. Now, this one is like half good, but like half bad. But like, okay... I do like the premise. Basically, the whole idea of like, oh, like Phineas and Ferb wish, oh, hey, we want to be basically like Santa this year. And Santa basically plans that out. He basically makes it to where he gets Dr. Doofenshmirtz to build and then eventually destroy his creation, which causes everything to be naughty, which allows Phineas and Ferb to basically be like Santa, which is actually pretty smart. There are some cool gags in here, like the party scene with freaking Perry and the guys, as well as a Frosty parody, which was kind of funny. But other than that, I think what kills this is actually the songs. Freaking Dr. Doofenshmirtz. Granted, I know it's because he can't sing because of his voice or whatever, but like, no. Also, this was still the 2000s, and I already mentioned it with freaking one of these specials, that post-grunge soundtrack with freaking Phineas singing it, and it's like, why? It's 2009. It's almost the end of that decade. Why are you still doing this crap? But whatever, it is what it is. I'm gonna put this at the below average just because of some of those songs kind of ruining it for me personally. Though we are thankfully at, honestly, okay, sorry, I was just thinking. So okay, Christmas Who, SpongeBob Christmas episode from the early 2000s. This, I'm gonna put this one at a meh, only because, okay, I do like the Patchy moments. I do like, there are some really great moments in this episode. Like, obviously, the whole SpongeBob roast, where he's like, man, if you gave me Christmas, like, if you gave me a dictionary, I wouldn't be able to define that thing or whatever. Like, that was a pretty funny line. What'd you ask? A pony? And there's still some really good, great things about this episode. But just Squidward being kind of mean-spirited, even though he's based at the beginning, but just sort of being mean-spirited about it, and then just going a complete 180, just all of a sudden, and then a 180 back. No. I thought that was meh. And then just everyone just completely just going up against SpongeBob. I don't know. It's just, I feel like this one is one of the weaker SpongeBob episodes, which is probably one of the reasons why I never saw this as a kid. Which is weird because I watched pretty much all the older SpongeBob episodes as a kid. But this is just the one that I just never saw. But it is what it is. Thankfully, though, we have for the final episodes that we've got, these are all passable. Yeah, no, it's shocking. But these are all pretty great episodes for their respective shows. So let's sort of digest this. So let's talk about the Cartoon Network ones first. So, Dexter's Lab. Dexter versus Santa. People gave so much crap to this episode because it's like, oh, he's being mean to Santa. But like, dude, Dexter, okay, this one was not meant to be taken seriously at all. Like, they even address that at the end. But basically, the whole thing with this episode is Dexter is being based by saying that Santa doesn't exist and that his parents are doing it. Dee Dee is like, yes, he does. And Dexter freaking raps, and actually a pretty decent rap style on this episode. And then eventually, yeah, Christmas Eve happens. He encounters Santa. He beats the living crap out of him, even chasing him in a freaking jet fighter and shoots him down. And then in the end, like, he eventually realizes, oh shoot, Santa's actually real. And then Dexter's like, oh, I understand the meaning of Christmas, blah, 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 blah. And then at the end, Santa's like, no, it's the presents that actually matter. I mean, he's not wrong. But yeah, no, that was pretty funny. And then we've got the Powerpuff Girls special, which, okay, I'd say this is probably the lowest on the passable tier. But I still think this one was a pretty great one. Basically, Princess Morbucks wants to be a Powerpuff Girl, but she always gets naughty, so she changes the naughty list to the nice list or whatever. And she basically is like, yeah, I'm nice. And then they have a pretty long fight with the Powerpuff, like she has a big fight with the Powerpuff Girls once they realize that everyone got coal in their stockings and all that stuff. Admittedly, it's a bit of a dragged on fight, which is the main reason why I think this is borderline meh impassable. But I do think just the whole, I don't know, it's just a fun time for me, at least. I think it's great. And then we've got Codenamed Kid Next Door, basically the wonderful neighborly kids from down the street, or whatever their names are called. They basically break in, find Santa's like naughty and nice chair or whatever, use that to try to make them be presents or whatever. And then the kids next door, they fight Santa's personal bodyguard or whatever, and then they have to fight a bunch of other villains, and it's really funny and it's great. I highly recommend that one. There's a slight spoiler that I don't want to get into involving number 3. It's actually pretty interesting. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Oh, shoot. I forgot to add in Foster's. Okay. Crap. Okay. Okay, so basically, Yeah, there was a Christmas special for Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. I'm just gonna add this one for, like, really, really quick. Crap, I feel so freaking bad. Yeah, it's pretty easy for this one. But yeah, basically the whole premise for this episode is that, for Foster's Home, is basically... Max is also being based and is realizing that Santa isn't real. Or like he's thinking that Santa isn't real or whatever. And then he thinks about it all Christmas Eve, and that results in him basically going through a bunch of stuff. And I mean... You know what? I think I'll put this one at meh. Because I think Jen... Oh, and by the way, I forgot... I should say this right now. I feel so bad for saying Frankie from last time with the Cartoon Network. That was not Frankie that I was thinking of. Frankie obviously being... what's her... Like, the redhead in the show. That's not who I was thinking of. So if anyone was thinking I was talking... trash about her, that's not who I was thinking of. I was thinking of the... Oh my god. I'm gonna look him up right now. Sorry, I'm looking that up right now. Oh my god, why can't I think of his name? Okay, sorry. I'm taking a while. I'm sorry. Okay, let me edit this so I can add the thing, because I am not leaving out Foster's. Even though it completely goes against my formatting, which I personally hate, because I hate it whenever my formatting gets screwed up. Please don't have my... Okay, there we go. Yeah, I'll put this one at meh. It's fine. It is what it is. God, I completely forgot that episode. God damn. But yeah, no, it exists. It's fine. But whatever. Oh, his name is Bendy? That's funny. Okay, yeah, Bendy is... He's who I was talking about from years prior. I do apologize. I wanted to redeem myself. I was thinking of Bendy. Sorry, I thought his name was Frankie, but no, Frankie is the redhead. She's cool. So, yeah. I had to redeem myself with that. But anyways, I think it's about time that we talk about the last 3 specials on here, which I think are pretty good. So, Invader Zim's most horrible Xmas ever. So this, obviously, Invader Zim is a pretty great show. I don't think it's one of my personal favorites, but some of the episodes that are good are really freaking good in this show. Basically, this one, Zim finds out about a lot of people's fondness of Christmas, and he learns about Santa Claus. And since in this universe, Santa Claus doesn't exist, he pretty much becomes Santa himself, or at least like he uses the persona. And dude, there are so many great quotable things in this one, like "to the jingle jail for the non-believer," and oh my god, the bow down, bow down, bow down, the glorious leader whose name is Santa Claus. I don't remember the thing, but it's like it ends with the jolly boot of doom, and it's great. So there's some great moments in this episode. Professor Membrane basically being like, "If you Santa, I'm gonna fight you," and it's his attitude like that. It's great. It's a great episode, especially just for. Honestly, I remember watching a YouTuber, SaberSpark, mentioning this. It's basically like, it's kind of like their own take of A Nightmare Before Christmas. Like, you can definitely tell that they were heavily inspired by Night Before Christmas for this episode, and it does show. And quite frankly, I think it's way better than Nightmare Before Christmas. That's a hot take for me, but that's only because I think Night Before Christmas is slightly overrated. But once again, I already talked about that. But yeah, no, I definitely recommend this if you want like a more action-oriented episode, and I think that's the last one in terms of the action ones in this. So let's talk about Rocco and Hey Arnold. So Rocco, Modern Life, obviously, great show. This is his, they did a Christmas special in '94. Basically, Rocco, he's preparing for a Christmas party at his place. He gets Heifer and, oh my god, I'm sorry. There's just a lot of things doing. But yeah, he tries to convince his friends to join, in which they initially planned to, but obviously because it's Christmas season, they have to get enough money to be able to pay for stuff and all those fun shenanigans. And so Rocco is pretty much he's basically put to fend off himself. Eventually he finds out that elves moved over to his street. He gets invited in and all that fun stuff. And yeah, just a bunch of hijinks that you would expect from Rocco's Modern Life. to happen happens. And it does go into a somewhat sour direction, but at the end of everything does resolve at the end of the day. And I think just being able to be like social commentary, like what Rocco's Modern Life did back in the 90s, just being able to do that with this episode, like always, and just being able to be just a bit of a slice of life in comparison to a bunch of other Christmas specials. It's just something I appreciate. Even if this show was slightly before my time, it's something I can appreciate for sure. So, that being said, I think it's about time we talk about the last special, and that is the Hey Arnold, Arnold's Christmas special. This one was freaking dark. Like, this one was pretty sad because, basically, the whole premise of this episode... Okay, there's two separate stories. You've got Helga, who, basically hates and loves Arnold. It's a whole story. Go look up the Nickelodeon tier list if you want a full explanation. But basically, she's trying to find a gift for Arnold. Throughout, I'd say not 2/3, like a third of the episode. While the second 2/3 is basically Arnold basically helping one of his neighbors try to find his lost daughter, because guess what? He was a victim of the Vietnam War, and he got separated from his kid. That is really just that. Granted, I don't know. Granted, I am such a huge Hey Arnold fan. Like, it's one of my favorite Nicktoons. And just being able to rewatch this episode, it's just so sad. Granted, it does end, I don't want to spoil it. I do recommend you guys watching it for yourself, but that's all I've got to say. It's just him trying to find his neighbor's daughter who he lost during the freaking Vietnam War. Like, oh my god, dude. Like, that's a lot. Like, that's insane. But once again, I would rather you guys watch it for yourself, because I can't really give it justice. In my opinion, I'd say this is probably just... Ooh. Is this... I think in terms of being able to bring out some emotional weight, this one is the one that got to me the most. And I think this is sort of the episode that I personally feel like should represent Christmas. And that's just something that Hey Arnold just does so goddamn well. And it's not just with this episode, but just for the whole series in general. And that's why I think Hey Arnold is just a great series. I was lucky that I was able to get a lot of just, life lessons out of it. And this is no exception. Just being able to sacrifice so much and trying to help out so many people in order to... Yeah, just trying to sacrifice so much or to help someone. It's just insane. And I think, even though, like I said, I may not necessarily be the most, I'm not the biggest fan of Christmas, this is something that I feel like should represent Christmas. And I don't know. I really don't know what else to say. I'm sorry. I'm starting to have some watery eyes, but we gotta end this. So, thank you guys for at least joining up with me on this one. And also, shout out to Izzy, as well as my cousin, for joining in for the first time. Even though things started to go sour, but thankfully I was able to... Oh, shoot. What is going on with the camera? Whoa. Oh, okay, there we go. Oh, shoot, was that... Okay, it's fine. I can get that fixed. I can... Whatever. But yeah, dude, it's just... It's just awesome that I was able to get another one of these done. Now, that being said, I hope for the next tier list, we we can start planning this stuff out, because I like doing a lot of these with the boys. And even though they did leave, it's just awesome for me to be able to hang out with them for another tier list. But yeah, no. Actually, I do want to ask Izzy if he can share his tier list. Hey, you actually joined near the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you hear me say thank you? Because I definitely do appreciate that.
Yeah, I did. I appreciate it too. I like doing these things with you.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, obviously this was the first one that my cousin joined in. And so he's a bit new to this, but I'll see if he can join, like, a couple of the other ones. So,
oh yeah, that'd be sick.
But yeah, no, hopefully he'll send. Oh, I'm stupid. I never sent the thing.
How dare.
I know, it's lame. Okay, whatever. I'll share. Okay, whatever. His thing will be on the yeah, his thing will be on the Discord. So if you want to see his, check out the description so that you can check out the Discord. So,
woohoo!
But yeah, no. Either way, I mean, I guess since you're in the call, do you have like anything else to like really add, or?
Not really. No. All I can say is this was another really good, successful stream, and I had a lot of fun.
Quasi-successful, but at the end of the day.
Well, yeah. Either way, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's getting really late for us, like always. So I'm gonna end it right here. So if you guys can, make sure to check out, make sure to hit that follow button down below and turn the bell icon so that you'll be notified exactly when I'll be streaming.
Subscribe to SlytheWarrior, or Krampus will come into your house and steal all of your wine.
Hey, and if we can reach 5 subscribers, I got a Super Nintendo right over there that wants to be played, so you better play it. Otherwise, Krampus will come up and tell what Izzy said.
Yeah.
And then, if you guys also want to, like I said, you can also check out the Discord, which is where we'll have all of our tier lists posted, because this was kind of a mess near the end.